Welcome to Heist. I'm Bradley Hackworth, joined by Jonathan Ems, otherwise known as Doc.
Hello, fellow humans.
And this week we are going to be covering Robin Hood, Men in Tights, and Deathtrap. Oh my god, yeah, we do this pretty often. They're different. Good god.
Yeah, once again, we could not pick two more different movies.
But fantastic, truly amazing stage actors getting on film for two wildly different purposes.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of crazy. Well, what do you say? We just get right into Robin Hood.
All right, let's do this. Although I will have to confess something ahead of time on
Hit
this
it.
that may shade a few things. As much as I have been a lifelong Mel Brooks fan, Robin Hood Men in Tights is my least favorite of his movies.
So you've said,
Mm.
and well, all right. I mean,
Just let you
everybody's
know going in, color. My main attitude towards this movie is general disappointment. That's kind of where I'm at.
that's a bit of a bummer
Yeah.
because I had a lot. I mean, there are moments in here that, yeah, they don't. I don't feel like they stand the test of time, but my God, I love this movie. It is I get a lot of really hard chuckles. When it gets me going, I stay going for a while. And there's not a lot of movies that do that, especially on the rewatch. And I've seen this one quite a few times.
Okay.
So, as we're getting into it, I guess we'll find out what Doc hates. Robin Hood Men in Tights, written by J.D. Shapiro, Evan Chandler, and Mel Brooks. Directed by Mel Brooks, and starring Cary Elwes, Richard Lewis, Roger Rees, Amy Yasbeck, Mark Blankfield, and Dave Chappelle, with Isaac Hayes, Megan Cavanagh, Eric Allen Kramer, Matthew Porretta, Tracey Ullman, and Sir Patrick Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the cast alone,
No, of course, for sure.
absolutely fantastic. But we open on some Archer-style credits until we see they're firing at the usual village for Robin Hood movies. And I got a good chuckle out of that every Robin Hood movie, they keep burning down the same village.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, no, that got me going pretty good. I actually completely forgot about the Leave Us Alone Mel Brooks going right into the rap-style opening credits.
Oh, God.
The Hey Nani Nani and an Expo dump.
Yeah.
Good God. There's opening narration, and then there's that.
It was something for sure. Yeah.
Oh, good God. Just because you don't like the movie, come on. Like, if there's some praise to give some praise.
It was certainly a decision someone made a decision. Good for them. That's
This is going to be a real fun episode. Robin Hood, played by Cary Elwes in a Mel Brooks prison. Crossing over, stomping on fingers from the hands all begging away, and then they fade down. Come back up with some middle fingers.
Yep.
A solid gag. The maitre de dungeon hooks him
Right.
up with a dungeon beard. He's like, no, we have a dress code. You see the depressed and the long beards? No. Gives him a good old, pretty much Yiddish beard.
Right, yeah.
Like, now you're good to go. Here's the scream. Coming! I mean, Mel Brooks, he has a style. And in this movie, a lot of his gags had been reused from some of his other ones.
Right, yeah. A lot of recycling in this movie, yeah.
So is that one of the things that builds your hatred up on this one?
Look, hey, whoa, hold on. I never said I hated this movie. I said it was my least favorite of the Mel Brooks, and I was generally disappointed. I don't hate it. Never used the word hate.
I feel like if you take that entire explanation that you just put in, highlighted it, and went thesaurus, you'd find hate.
No.
Strong dislike.
Disappointed. Could have been better. It's no Spaceballs. I mean, let's face it, man. I mean, that's just where
I really
we're
am
at.
sad that you brought that up because Spaceballs is my least favorite.
See, okay.
Like I mean, if you were like everybody, I guess, yeah, you got your favorite, you got your least favorite, but I don't actually think there's a Mel Brooks film that I don't like.
I'm trying
Jews
to
in space.
remember.
I don't know.
That never actually got made. But still waiting. Still
You
waiting,
you
Mel.
ruined that joke before I even got to make it. All right, go.
But Life Stinks probably would have been like the thing is that I saw it once and never saw it again. So I'm guessing that probably would be the one bad one because of just by that metric. I don't
Don't
remember
think I've
anything
ever
about
even
it.
heard of that one.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, fair enough. Smartass Elwes, and I'm sorry, man. Those see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil prisoners, just
Mhm.
going into that like reflect. It's a gag that has been done over 1,000 times in 1,000 movies, TV shows, everything. But like I said before, cliches are cliches for a reason.
If you can deliver them right, sure, yeah, why not?
Yeah, and okay. So in all of Mel Brooks' films, the racism is pretty high.
Sure.
This one really is no exception.
Mm-hmm.
No, there isn't. Because we meet Isaac Hayes playing a sneeze, father of a Chew, telling him, "You're very brave for a not at home boy."
Right.
Like, see, here's the thing. Funny? I thought so. Funny? Very. Is it racist? See that, like, because here's where I'm kind of before we actually get into it. Here's where I'm coming from. When you're like to play the existence of humor, to not incorporate any other race, culture, anything like that into the humor and stuff like that feels like a little more racist than actually addressing that. Homeboy was a term that was used.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm like, where's the racism line on that? Is where I'm confused by sometimes.
That's a really good question, and I think if I guess the question is who are we making fun of here? Like, and that would be my first guess. Here, I don't think anyone's being made fun of. I think it's just a good play on words.
Agreed.
It's being delivered by Isaac Hayes. That gives it a lot of validity. It's not like this guy is known for doing whatever his white director tells him to do. So, and also, yeah, it's Mel Brooks. Like you said, there's always some level of racial stuff in there, and it comes from the fact that you know Mel Brooks is not afraid to make fun of everyone. He makes fun of black people. He makes fun of white people. He makes fun of Jews. He makes fun of Arabs. He really makes fun of Arabs in this scene. Like it's kind of crazy. Like I had to remind myself, but yeah, I had to remind myself that this movie was pre 9/11, and this is just normal Mel Brooks making fun of Arabs.
Yep.
So, but yeah, and yeah, you kind of go in, but I think part of it is because he does also, he makes fun of white people and Jews just as much, and so it's kind of one of those like, all right, this is an all in good fun thing. There is no punching down on this one. This is all just a bunch of ass slaps at the game kind of thing.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, and I don't know if everybody always gets that, but people who get it. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a reason why the Blazing Saddles conversation has to be done over and over again every other year. It seems like every 2 years we get some new asshole who's just now seeing Blazing Saddles for the first time, and it's like, wait a second, this is racist. It's like, dude, we talked about this.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The reason that Isaac Hayes was arrested in this one, jaywalking.
Right.
And to get out of here, we'll need a great feat of strength. No, now that we have you here, we have great strength of feet. Okay, here's the thing. If I didn't know, like if I was not overly familiar with Mel Brooks films, I might have walked away at this point. I will give you that. The humor on like the opening on this one, the archery scene, all that stuff, very, very slow. Like it doesn't pick up until a good chunk in. So I
Right.
will give you that. But it does fucking pick up. And there are a couple scenes that do drag on a little bit too long in the later
Right.
parts of the film, but other than that, we'll just keep going because I'm curious which scenes take you out of it. Uh, I had some sympathy for the jailer, like, oh, this poor man, he's going to confess and betray his beloved king. Like, oh,
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna get promotion. Good news is always rewarded. However, bad news is severely punished. Like, his excitement and then his fear of like, okay, I think that's actually where I get roped into it every time.
Sure. Yeah.
Where I'm like,
Yep.
oh, okay, your little gag got me. Actually, I think it's the middle fingers that kind of roped me in.
The middle fingers were a good one. Yep. That's true. I did chuckle at that one. And yeah, I did. And the guard just kind of getting there like, oh, like keeps coming back with, they're going like, yeah, go tell your boss that the great news. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go tell him good. And he keeps stopping and saying like, this will be great. I'll get a promotion. He'll be so happy, and they're just like, go, go, go. Like that was kind of funny. Yeah. I will give it that.
Okay, all right. I mean, we'll work our way through it. I'll remind you of
Mm.
all the love that's here. As a Men in Tights fanboy over here, I guess is the position I'm taking on this one. I mean, I love this movie, so it's not one I'm upset about.
Okay.
Off to the beach for a very slow camel race, and we get the first mention of Achu, and I love that he goes into that speech and he just starts getting like really into it, and then Isaac Hayes stops him like, "Huh, you better go. You're going to miss the tide." Like,
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to do an accent because I don't want to, like, because these are real accents and I do not want to play that game.
Right. Right. I hear you.
Like we covered Cool Runnings recently, and like they Americanized / made up an accent to have fun with that. So I
Right.
can do that accent to have as much fun with it as I want to because it's completely fictitious.
Right.
When I start trying to imitate the real stuff, no, that's where
That's rough. Yeah.
even when
That's
I
tough
go
one,
to
yeah.
the editing, I'm like, dude, that was offensive. Like, it wouldn't have been offensive if you were good at it, but that was so bad that it became offensive. That's like doing bad comedy and then getting upset and saying that, oh, people can't laugh at jokes anymore. It's like, no, you just suck
Right.
at it. I just did really bad.
Right. Yeah. No, I feel you.
Oh, I know. You've edited yourself in the past too on other things. Like, yeah, when you're sitting there
I'm
watching
I'm
yourself, yeah.
yeah. I'm kind of giving up on doing accents. Period. Honestly.
That's going to make it harder to do those audiobooks.
Yeah, a little bit, but hey, I'll find a way.
Swimming to England and kissing the sand in front of the England sign. There's only one thing that I would have really appreciated about this scene if they would have added it. Because of the historical context, if that would have been England land.
Oh, right. Yeah. That would have been better. Yes. They have the big England sign like the Hollywood sign up there in the mountains. Yeah. And it's supposed to be ye old Mary England. So yeah, it should have been England land. You're right. God, that would have been funnier.
Like
We should talk to Mel Brooks. We should call.
Yeah, listen here, Mel. Yeah, let's have that
You
conversation.
had a golden opportunity here and you biffed it.
But when you think about it, because the gag they have later on about 12th century Fox,
Right. Oh, right.
that was
Yeah.
great. Like, it would have paired so well with the rest of the film. Getting a horse from Rent-A-Wreck and running right into Achu, bless you. It's like it's kind of, every time I say Achu, I do want to say it because of the gag off this one,
Mm-hmm.
but I love that. The watch my back, because Robin Hood joins the fight, gets up and he's like, all right, watch my back. And then he watches it, he's like, your back just got whipped. Or no, sorry, your back just got hit twice.
Hit twice. Yep.
Yep. And he's like, hold on, guys. I need to pump up. And then he pumps up his freaking Jordans, which, yes, probably. I don't know why they would need sponsors to make this film happen, but if they did, that's where it would have happened.
I feel like in that if memory serves from way back in the day, that wasn't as much a sponsorship thing as much as it was making fun of it, because that was literally
that was in
that
everywhere.
that was where the commercials were. Like, they literally had, when they did those Nike pumps, they literally had commercials where kids were like playing basketball in the streets, and then the kid who's sucking stops, pumps his sneakers up a couple of times, and
I
now he
remember
plays
this
great. Like
commercial.
that was their literal ad for the little shoes. And so, yeah, I don't know if that was a sponsorship or a parody, or if they somehow finagled both, which I wouldn't put past them.
I was about to say, I could like, I
Yeah.
mean, if we ever do get sponsorships on this show, doubtful.
Mhm.
But if that ever does happen, nice.
I can't believe I held it correctly for that. That was too
That was
easy.
good. That was good. Logo up. Nice.
Yeah.
No, but we ever get sponsors on the show, my big goal is to like talk them into allowing me to do the sponsorship with jokes.
Sure. Yeah. Totally.
Like the way we incorporate it in there, like, yes, talk about it, but also just have fun with it, roast and everything like that. That's the kind of sponsors that I want, because I don't want to do something and have it not be entertaining.
That's the thing. Yeah. That would make
Or at least not even
the pill
try.
go down easier. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh god. Okay. Another might have quit moment: the praying mantis, martial arts scene with Dave
Yeah.
Chappelle and Elwes.
Yeah.
There were some rough moments. I will admit this, but I pretty sure there's rough moments in every Mel Brooks film.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
he
yeah,
goes
that's
so
the thing.
hard in the paint on every joke that they don't land. Like, not all of them land for everybody. Like, they're so individualized and they go so hard that it I don't know what kind of person you would be to actually have all of these jokes land on you. They're not all in the same
I mean,
vein.
yeah. Well, and I guess it depends. I mean, I know one of the things that I found amusing was when I showed Young Frankenstein to my kids. My son did not stop laughing. Like, he was giggling like a madman. Every joke landed on of every joke of that movie landed. Some of that is shocking. Like, like the
Nice.
roll in the hay joke, and I've got like my little like 12-year-old son giggling his ass off on that one. I'm like, whoa, wait a second.
Yeah, red flag.
Yeah.
That is fair. What about your daughter? How does she feel about that one?
She rarely laughs out loud about anything, but she said she liked it.
That is true. I have met your daughter. That is true.
Yeah.
I like that from one of the guys. You haven't seen the last. Oh, the way he does it too. You haven't seen The Last of Us. And like, he
Right.
keeps
Yeah.
doing this afterwards. I'm like, okay, that is a stage actor through and through.
Right.
And he gets the 6 arrows that we see on the title card here, or the movie
Right.
poster here. And you've seen The Last of Us.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
The joke wasn't much anything like that. The delivery was funny, but the
it was
joke
all right,
itself
yeah.
wasn't good. Castle gets towed away, and we get Blinken, played by Mark Blankenfield, reading Ye Old Playboy, which the comedy on that one comes in. The Playboy is not just he's blind. The Playboy is in not Braille, because it is exactly the stencil of the woman.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Which takes me back to when we saw Sneakers, and Whistler was reading Playboy in Braille, and he acts
Right.
like he's the one who's actually reading it for the articles, because it's
the jokes are good.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
They try. That's 2 blind person reading Playboy jokes that we've seen so far, and they've both been meh. Okay. So,
Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if that actually ever works. I like that. You lost your arms in battle. How terrible. But you grew some nice boobs. You could shake your head. It was funny.
okay.
Just not your kind of humor.
I mean, it's not that it's not my kind of humor. I guess I just felt that. I mean, I don't know if it's one of those like modern things, but I seem to remember thinking that even back then, that some of these was a delivery problem.
That's gotta be
A lot of Mel,
preferential.
maybe, but that, I mean, I feel like a lot of Mel, especially like his later stuff, there was a lot of stuff he just did in one take. Like he didn't try to do didn't try to do another take, didn't try to go for a close up, didn't really edit much. Like everything was kind of like when you and your friends are like messing around doing improv next to the ping pong table in the basement, but we just happen to have a camera set up in the corner that catches some of it. A lot of Mel Brooks's movies feel like that. It seems like some of them come off better than others, but yeah, he did. It felt like he was putting more work in his earlier days than he did in his in like the 90s and the 2000s.
I feel like that's kind of true for pretty much every director. I mean, Spielberg ain't as good now as he used to be.
That's probably true.
Scorsese, I mean, yes,
Yeah.
he still does great work, but it's not like if
Right.
Scorsese was putting out the movies that he's putting out now at the beginning of his career, he would never have become Scorsese.
No, it's true. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think that's just a thing that happens with directors. They get comfortable. But I mean,
That's probably, yeah.
this wasn't just written by him. There were two other writers on this one. So I
Right.
think
Yeah.
maybe Mel Brooks lent his name to this one. That could explain a lot of the formula change.
I suppose that's possible.
I don't know. I didn't do as much research on this one because, not gonna lie, I watched Deathtrap 3 times.
Wow. Nice.
So
Okay.
yeah, yeah. His whole family is dead, even the goldfish and the cat, and just literally like everything is going through, and it's just a hat on a hat on a hat on a hat with a
Right.
feather in it. It
Yep.
just was. And Robin gets the key to the greatest treasure in all the land.
I did that. That was I liked that gag when Blinken goes. He's like, "Oh, your father left you this." He says it's he says it's the key. It contains the key to the treasure in all the land. And then there's just like this beat as Robin looks at it, and then Blinken goes, "Can I keep it?" Like that. That got a chuckle out of me.
It was good. Home Alone style running boy being chased by the Kazoo Brigade, and over that boy hand. Like, the running
I did
gag of Nottingham being able to do that, one, I thought was funny. Two, how well he pulled it off made it really funny for me.
see that I was the opposite. I didn't get it the whole time. The whole time, whenever it was a running gag, it was his thing. I get it, but I never thought it was funny once. I was just like, "Oh, I see what they're doing." Okay.
Oh, but I mean, like I said, God, that's a bummer. But I mean, it's all preferential.
Hmm.
Uh, Dared to kill a king's dare. The sheriff, played by Roger Rees, gets flipped upside down and sent on his way. I mean, this whole scene, he shows up. We get a good, solid introduction. He meets Robin,
Mhm.
gets kind of punked and put in his place, and Dave Chappelle gets a good couple cracks.
Yep.
Like, it's
Which
good.
again, I feel like a lot of Chappelle's lines he improvised himself. I'm wondering why he didn't get a credit along with the other three writers because I felt like he was writing his own lines in that movie.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like I said,
Yeah.
did you find anything on your research on it?
No. No.
Oh, well, okay. Um,
I did. I did. I did. I was surprised to be reminded that witch was Tracy Ullman. I remember going like, "Oh, right," because that's the thing about Tracy Ullman is that that's the kind of actor that she is. She is constantly. She's one of those always transforming. You have to keep going. Wait, that's Tracy Ullman again. Oh my god. Even when you're
no.
watching the Tracy Ullman TV show where she
Well, it's funny
plays 80
because you bring
characters.
up, oh, damn.
Yeah.
But see, like, there you go. Like, that scene, there was a scene later on in the film where the sheriff crashes through the ceiling and lands in her bed. They
Right.
improv basically that entire scene.
Yeah.
But
That
no,
makes
I didn't
sense.
see anything about like Chappelle improvising his lines or anything. I didn't. I mean, I could believe it. It's Chappelle,
Right.
but
Well, I don't know if he improvised them. I think he wrote them because that's the thing is like they were all very much like he's center camera. It's cut. Everyone's reacting to him. I think they were scripted lines, but they were way too him type lines. So I think he wrote his own lines.
I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing on that one. He's like, tell the people, and then he goes into a whole speech about everything to tell him. It's like just basically just tell him everything.
Right, yeah. It was pretty good. Like, yeah, tell them Robin LeBlanc is back, and and from the Crusades, and this, and I'm going to stop the taxing, and I'm going to, and I guarantee a 4-day work week. That was the one that got me. That was when I started laughing. Was when he starts going into just like one policy after one wish list policy after another.
Yep. And Maid Marian, played by Amy Yasbeck, giving some Disney singing from the royal tub. I mean, that camera through the window, it kind of missed me. But her reaction to it is what actually got a chuckle out of me.
Her reactions to things were good. Like later on in the movie, when Elwes starts belt singing at her and she gives a little shriek right when he starts, that I think was my biggest laugh of the entire movie.
There were a few, and she was responsible for a good chunk of them. Broomhilda, played by Megan Cavanagh, rushes her out of the tub for fear of rust, and we get to see the Everlast chastity belt. I'm gonna understand. I understand this is a dumb joke. I do. I get it. I realize it before I even say it. It's kind of weird to have titty in chastity.
I mean,
you cannot say chastity without thinking of a boob.
Without thinking of, are you thinking of the actress Chastity? Is that what?
No, Doc, the chastity belt that she's wearing.
Right, yes. But she is also naked in the tub. Is that what you're referring to?
Wow, this joke is even worse than I thought it was. No, the word titty, T-I-T-Y, is in chastity.
Right, okay.
God, that was that. Yeah, no, that was bad. Yeah, moving on.
I'm sorry.
I
feel bad.
Wishing on a bird for the man who possesses the key to her heart.
Right.
Some good chuckles there. Prince John, played by Richard Lewis, and I'm gonna go out and just say this. I think he absolutely crushed every line that he was a part of. Every scene,
it really was the role.
It was
the role of a lifetime for him. Really, this was a guy who, he was one of those like stand-up comedians that kept trying to do some acting, never quite caught on. This was his biggest role, and he did not waste it, for sure.
No. He wants bad news in a good way, so the sheriff laughs through telling Robin is home, and he flips out and is like, "Why are you laughing? This is terrible news." And he references, "Oh, we'll go see Latrine, that old hag."
Right, yeah.
Which you were just speaking of. We meet Latrine, played by Tracey Ullman, and she's making breakfast and giving like a prediction. He's like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Are you certain? If you want certain, hire a witch. I'm just your cook."
Right, yeah.
I know you're just giving me a right, yeah, but that got huge laugh from me. I don't know how to approach this one with you, man. Like all the things that I would expect you to laugh at, you're sitting over here going, "Yeah, impress me, asshole."
Like, that's. I don't know what to say. It didn't make me laugh. I get it.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's funny." Like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm not putting it on you.
No. I gotta kick up the entertainment value because I'm
disappointed in
awkward.
I'm disappointed in Mel of most all people. Like this was the guy who brought us Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs. What else? Those are just the ones that I've mentioned so far in the show. What a silent
History
movie,
of the World.
history of the world. Like, this guy is a powerhouse. And so when I saw this for the first time as a kid, I was like, what are you doing, Mel? Like, is Mel dead? Like, is this like, I remember literally thinking when this movie came out that was the end of Mel's career right there. Like, I was like, that's it. He hasn't got it anymore. And that was back
Wow.
in that was back in 93 when I first saw it.
Huh. Well, like we kind of have all over the show, we are two people with wildly different tastes in film and television. And yeah, the crossover, I was really expecting it to be here, especially with all like, because a big part of this movie, there is a lot of stage actor like love and like
Right,
love
yeah.
for the craft that really shows up in this one that isn't really as prevalent in most of his other ones, even though you can see it in Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein.
Right.
Like, so, yeah, moving on. Finds out that Latrine changed the name of the family because it used to be Shithouse, and it's a good change. It's a good change. Like, seriously, man, Richard Lewis's deliveries on this the whole way through, they were practically perfect. She's got the hots for the sheriff and and has a cardboard cutout. And the fact that the expression on the cardboard cutout changes, I like, that got me in the same way that it did with, okay, it got me the same way that it got you with Otto and Airplane.
Okay, I was going to say, I'm sitting there going, like, I remember that reminded me of something, but I couldn't put my finger on it. But that was it. Now you reminded me. Yes, it was Otto and Airplane. Saying, yeah, it's a decently done gag. It's a decent gag. Didn't get me as well this time. I don't know. Maybe it was the timing of it. I don't know.
Hard to say.
I mean, that counts as a cutaway gag, which I've mentioned before is one of my favorite kind of gags. This one didn't land on me for some reason, you know?
Which is strange because it's not even just a cutaway gag, it's a cutaway gag.
And I gave you that one for free.
If you want to give it to me, you gotta like the ha-ha is where I get the appreciation from it, not the oh. We get our introduction to Eric Allen Kramer as Little John. Now I finally understand from the moment that gay bar scene, like the conflict kicks on in American Wedding. Now I understand why I have loved that man from the, like, before he even said a second of dialogue in that scene. Like, I saw him, I knew, I'm like, hey, I have no idea who that is. I fucking love that guy. Who is that? And no, it's freaking Little John from Robin Hood Men in Tights. Like, are you familiar with the scene in which I'm talking?
From American Wedding?
From American Wedding, yes.
That I did not see that one. I don't think I've seen any of the American Pie movies other than number one, actually, now that I think about it.
Fair
I
enough.
keep meaning to because I did like number one so much, but yeah, I just never got around to it.
I know, you're always going off about coming of age stories, and yet you missed like the biggest coming of age like trilogy of.
I saw American Pie 1, so that was, yeah, but yeah.
Well, then you missed 2/3 of the like coming of age trilogy.
Yeah.
But this scene, Little John, Eric Allen Kramer, shows up and has a dance-off in a gay bar with Stifler and loses.
Oh, okay.
No, it is a fantastically hilarious scene. I always I every time I've seen it, I just die of laughter. I love it so much. He needs his toll and is happy to fight. And then that line from Blinken, or Chappelle, you know, hey Blinken, did you just say Abe Lincoln? Nah, I said, hey Blinken. I love it. I mean, you know how I am with like wordplay.
Yeah, and that always came to mind the whole time that we had, you know, Anthony Blinken as one of the you know, the cabinet secretaries for president. Like every time he was mentioned, I always thought, did you say hey Blinken? Like that, that joke stuck in my head, even though I didn't think much of it. So every time Anthony Blinken is mentioned in the news, I quietly think to myself, did you say hey Blinken?
I'm so confused how this doesn't land on you, even though it stuck with you. But moving forward. The stick fight and that I have a lot of love for this scene with like the bow staff just keep getting shorter and shorter and shorter.
Mhm.
Their reactions to each other as it's getting shorter and shorter. Then him falling down and acting like he can't swim and all this stuff. The ridiculousness of it has always, I've always appreciated it. And the direct, the direct confrontation of Chappelle like coming in there and I'm on the east side, I'm on the west side, like all of this, the fun of that. I always had too much fun with it.
See, and I liked that from Chappelle too. Like I remember, like even as a kid, thinking like that is a really because at this point I think I had probably seen like at least a dozen Robin Hood movies of some kind. Some made for TV, some made by Disney. Some I think the Kevin Costner one was the one that I had not seen yet at that point.
It's kind of fun. One of our oh sorry, I thought you were done. Sorry.
The fight over like that's one of those constant things. There's always the confrontation with Little John at the bridge over the river. And in many of these movies, that bridge, that like it's exactly what Chappelle points out. It's like a lot of these bridges that I have seen Robin Hood fight Little John over have been unnecessary bridges. Like you could just walk over the stream. It's like, why are you fighting? Yeah. And so finally planting a flag on that joke. I appreciated Chappelle's role in that.
No, I can understand that. It's actually a joke that I put, what's your favorite part of Robin Hood Men in Tights? And one of our viewers, and his favorite moments of the film are like when they come across a Jew. He's like, a Jew here?
Oh, I thought that was kind of funny too. Yeah,
that was a good one.
Good. Mm-hmm.
And if we don't get no toes, then we don't eat no rolls. I made that up. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm quoting the favorite comment, so I got it right this one.
And I got.
Sorry, I forgot about that, but like the sheer enjoyment that he gets out of like, I made that up.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. That was one like I'm proud of that rhyme, kind of joke. Like that was good delivery on that one. Yep, I agree. I agree with our commenter on both of those points.
You have already openly disagreed with the third one, though.
Oh, okay. Well, nobody's perfect. So.
But you've grown some nice boobs. Oh no, I like
nothing wrong with the joke. I'm just saying it could have been funnier with better direction, Mel.
But it's one of those like when we covered Mortal Kombat. I'd seen the movie so many times and laughed so hard so many times that I was looking forward to each of these jokes as they were coming. So I have that nostalgic factor really working for me over here.
Okay.
Which does kind of play in a bit with it. But I think what might actually be my favorite joke from this moment is when he pulls him out. He's like, thanks, I'm in your debit. I'm like, now I understand why I said that wrong my whole childhood. It took me forever to break that. That's one of those.
I mean, yeah, it's clever. I mean, if I had heard you say that, I probably would have because I've mentioned this before. I had a friend growing up who deliberately mispronounced the store Target as Target because he thought that was.
You have told me about that person,
and so it's like if you had done that to me, if you had been like, "I'm in your debit," I would have been like, "Got it," and I would have let it go. I would have been like, I got another one of these weirdos. That
no, see, here's the problem. Everybody got the joke except me. I didn't realize that was a punchline because I was too young when I saw this that I didn't know anything about debt. So I literally, everybody's like, haha, funny, like how you're doing it. We got, thank God I'm not alone on that one. I felt dumb. I felt so dumb every time I thought about that. Then Will Scarlett O'Hara from Georgia. He's got those daggers, and he's played by Matthew Porretta, who interestingly played Robin Hood in like the Young Adventures of Robin Hood on like TNT.
Okay.
So I thought that was kind of a cool thing that they did there. And Robin is off to crash the party alone, tries to jump on that horse, and an obvious gag.
Right.
But you're right, Chappelle is the one who actually sells the punchline on that one with the, "Aw man, white man can't jump."
Right.
Don't know if that line aged well because like the movie had just come out like very recently before that.
That was the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost like while they like that whole bit almost seemed like they heard about this other, the Spike Lee movies coming out. Let's make a joke about it real quick. Everyone grab the camera real quick before we shoot the real scene. Let's shoot a quick jumping joke. Like,
No, I get that. Then we get that mime in the castle like banquet hall. And yes,
that was
a terrible thing to waste.
That was the one that killed me. That was the one that where I really went like, do I want to sit here through the rest of this movie? Like that's
But I think personally, like they gave the crappy jokes to the bad guys. I thought it was one of those. Like it's such a crappy joke that we gave it to the bad guy. My guess. Marion arrives and dude, the sheriff is so thirsty on that one. Like, yeah. Oh, that was so unsettling. I even saw myself in the window do that there. That was even unsettling watching myself do that. No, I did not like that. And the king with the traveling mole, or the prince with the traveling mole, the entire movie, that gag never got, like, to this day, it never got old on me because the very first time that we saw Prince John, I was looking for where the mole was for position 1. So I like that one. I give that a lot of props. And Robin enters and drops a pig. And I like that. No, that's a wild pig. That's a wild boar. And again, Richard Lewis with funny. Very amusing. His deliveries were perfect.
No, Richard Lewis could not have done better on this. No, that was the role he was born for sure. Yeah.
I do kind of like how the king like kind of seems to be like Robin Hood's hype man a little bit. He's like, God, I like this guy. Like in a different movie, different story, everything like that. You kind of see Richard Lewis looking at him going like, God, let's have you be the sheriff. You're funny. This guy sucks. But I know you said that this one didn't really land on you, but it crushed me. King, illegal, forest, 2 pig, wild, kill, in it, is. Everybody. What? To pull that line off?
No, well, no, I respect the craft. Mine, like that actor, I do respect the fact that he was able to deliver that wrong line so well, so rightly. I mean, and with verve, like that probably was one of the best line deliveries I have seen when you consider all of the aspects that had to take place at once that he pulled off. But yeah, no, the joke was just never funny to me. I just thought it was a weird thing. It was a weird choice to make.
See, the thing is, I don't know where, like, what they were making fun of, what they were ripping off, what they were parodying, but I don't know of another joke like it. So I love it that much more.
That is a good question. I don't remember. I don't know if I ever knew what they were making fun of there specifically. If there was a reference to another Robin Hood movie villain somewhere, or that just didn't catch or something. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I don't know
what the idea was behind that one.
But what he was saying is, it is illegal to kill a pig in the king's forest. I loved it. The only thing that he was missing in that was the word the. So the thing was, he almost nailed that line, but the fact that he was even that close just blew me away.
Right.
I like that. Why should they listen to you? Now, this is what I was telling you about before we even got started. Because, like some other Robin Hoods, I can speak with an English accent. Now, I got the notes down here. Okay. Here's the thing. The gag about Robin being able to speak with an English accent is a reference to Kevin Costner's performance in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, the 1991 Robin Hood. Viewers who saw both movies in dubbed version couldn't get this gag, so different languages had different versions. For the German dubbed version, the gag was changed to because I, unlike some other Robin Hoods, do not cost the producers $5 million. In French and Italian, it's translated as because unlike other Robin Hoods, I do not dance with the wolves.
Ooh, ouch.
In Quebec French, the translation becomes because unlike other Robin Hoods, I accept to wear tights, which refers to the fact that Costner refused to wear tights in the 91 movie. And in the Hungarian version, like I was telling you, dude, they went hard in the paint against Costner, and Mel Brooks
They
went
really
like
did, yeah.
so light in the American version. In the Hungarian version, because unlike Kevin Costner, I have a shapely bottom.
Wow. Wow.
And the reason was because in the nude scene, Kevin Costner used a body double for the butt.
Right, yeah. Yep. Well, I don't know if I ever heard about the fact that, yeah, Costner refused to wear tights the whole time. But that like, not only is it because I can speak an English accent, but the very title, Robin Hood Men in Tights, is a dig at Costner. The entire song and dance scene that we're going to talk about later,
Yep.
where they talk about how manly they are in their tights. That's a full 5-minute. Fuck you, Costner.
I had no idea this movie was a hit job on Costner, but oh my god,
I did
does
not
that
know
make
that
it
either.
better, or does that make it worse? I don't know.
For me, it makes it a little better.
I know. Well, okay, sure. For me, I don't know, because I got a lot of love for Costner, even though I don't have a lot of love for all of his films.
No, that's the thing. I got nothing personal against Costner. I'm one of those.
At least
petty
I'm not
bitches
aware
that
of any reason to be.
Yeah, I'm one of those petty bitches who just love seeing someone taken down a peg when they get a little too high. And I think being the kind of actor who can completely change a production because I refuse to wear tights, I'm like, get the fuck over yourself. Like,
Yeah,
we're all
okay, I can give you
whores
that.
here. Put on your whore makeup, whore.
I like that. Oh, I challenge you to a duel. Leather glove slap, armored gauntlet slap.
That is a classic, yes.
Yep, that is a fantastic gag, and I'm pretty sure he stole that from Looney Tunes.
Possibly. I do remember.
Maybe even the Marx Brothers.
I don't think the Marx Brothers. Oh no, they didn't do anything like that. Oh no, they didn't do anything like that. They did something different. They did something similar but different enough that I can't.
I'm waiting for 3 more times before I actually stop you.
I have to sit here and rewatch all 19 Marx Brothers in my head again before I can answer that honestly. But yeah, no, I do remember that one though. What bugged me about that one, I saw the movie in the theater, was because that gauntlet joke was done so repeatedly in the TV trailers, is that not only did I see it coming and so it didn't quite hit, but also the version of it in the trailer was edited better than the version that was on screen. And so it fell flat when I finally saw it. So that was one of the things that bugged me. Yeah. Because the trailer had to only be 30 seconds long. So it was a much tighter gag than it was in the actual movie.
I gotcha. But the gag is just you, like mano a mano, man to man, just you, me, and my guards. Like, I know that because I think I remember seeing that in the trailer, and I have a note in here. See, Doc, it never happens on the first try. When he goes the swing that and it comes down on him instead of the guards. We talked about that in Stardust. Never happens on the first try. You got to screw up a little bit first.
Of course, build the drama.
I mean, the fighting on this, because Little John comes in, Blinken comes in, Will Scarlett O'Hara, and Achu. Bless you. And Blinken is killing me more than anyone in this fight. Like him attacking, like just trying to like drag on with people's coattails, attacking that one pole, like with all the sawdust flowing around, sped up, and they even keep the like,
right?
Like he really like he went until he was tired, and he was like, "All right, I'm done." I thought I really enjoyed that. Robin under the table to see Marion and flirt. To be continued. If you didn't use that line at some point in your life, I mean, like, you're just kind of wrong, man. Where's your sense of humor and, like, where's your comedy on that one?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I have used "To Be Continued" in life, not because of that scene in the movie, but because when you watch enough movies and
not
TV,
because of
yeah,
the scene. I'm just saying,
Right.
if you haven't done that, you're kind of weird.
Right, yeah. That's the thing is at this point, "To Be Continued" is such a part of our culture that if you're not using it in life, then you're not paying attention.
All right. Broomhilda catches the kiss, and I'm sorry, man. Every time that Megan Cavanagh showed up on screen, I was dying from laughter. Like, Broomhilda was a perfect character, like, comedy-wise.
She was all right, sure.
Oh, come on. The villager meeting and the lend me your ear gag.
That
whatever.
What made that work was Elwes's reaction when after all the ears get thrown at him and he goes, "That was disgusting." That's what made it funny.
Okay, fair enough. Some of her lines, like Broomhilda's lines, though, no ding ding without the wedding ring. I'm sorry, but there is a level of hilarity that comes with lines like that that will just live inside my soul, man. They are too good. Robin tries to hype, but he goes a little bit too Churchill.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that was Churchill he was imitating.
That was Churchill, yes.
Okay, I was pretty sure.
Yep.
And then Chappelle steps up for a Malcolm X gag. I don't know how that one would age. I am not the person to check with on that one. I like doing a Malcolm X gag. I mean, if it wasn't Dave Chappelle,
right?
I mean, and especially with who Dave Chappelle became, right?
Yes. But I mean, if we're comparing like, you know, inspirational speakers, and the draw line was Churchill put everyone to sleep, but Malcolm X actually got everyone verved up. One might say it was a rather complimentary way to go about it, you know.
Fair enough. Yay or nay? You with me? Well, which one means yes? That's a line that I have grown a further appreciation for as I've gone further in life, just because of the memory of how many people have pulled that gag when we have because there was a sweet spot of time. Sure, I'm sure we've passed it. That if you said yay or nay, somebody will respond with the right thing to say. I don't think that time is still here. It's been a long time since I've tried that, but I have so many memories of it actually working. Oh, Malcolm X, the movie, came out the year prior to Robin Hood Men in Tights, which is probably why Chappelle did that gag in there.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
That does make a lot of sense. I had a little bit of a question, do pantyhose come in eggs? But I found out after the fact, yes, they did.
Yeah. Yep. That was a thing. Yeah. It was a specific, was it just the one brand, or was it a thing with all the brands? I can't remember for sure, but yes,
not the one to ask.
Yeah. I do remember seeing, like, you know, the display cases with all the little eggs on them, and sometimes they were even you could tell what color the pantyhose were because the egg was that color. Like that was the thing. That was where they missed out here. Is all the eggs in this one were white. They should have all been green since the tights inside were green.
Ah, fair, nice. But apparently, Legs, the brand Legs was known for it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right, because it was L' eggs. Now I remember.
Nice. The Royal Bubble Blowers and the Traveling Mole. I love it. I love that Traveling Mole. Every time Prince John is on screen, I'm always looking for where it winds up. It is personal. I mean, again, everything on these things, always subjective. Just is what it is. But this is that where we were talking about with that catapult scene. Sheriff flies over, lands in Latrine's bed, as she's sitting there praying, like, if you see fit, you know, just send me some lovin'. And the sheriff drops on the bed. This whole scene was improvised between Roger Rees and Tracey Ullman.
Right.
And I'm sorry. He just keeps running away. I've got a headache. Her ending the scene with, I touched it.
Right.
That was the fact that was all improv. I'm loving it so much.
Yeah.
Oh man, Mel Brooks as the friar with a drunken mule, and yeah, this is where like the joke was. Okay, so here's the thing. Did you ever watch the Not Another Gay movie?
No, did not hear about that one. No.
Well, no, this was back in like 2006 or 7 or something like that.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
like
no, I missed that
like
one.
not another teen movie gay parody.
Right, yeah.
I did. I tried to watch it. Definitely not for me.
Okay.
Especially at that time. But that's kind of one of those things. This kind of joke, is it offensive or is it hilarious? It like that really depends on the individual.
Oh,
Like,
the fact are you talking about the fact that Friar Tuck became Rabbi Tuckman, played by Mel Brooks?
no, when like when all Robin Hood's men are like introduce themselves as the merry men, and Mel Brooks goes, Begalas?
Right.
Like that could be hilarious. That could be wildly offensive. I think it's actually both. And I think like, I mean, even to like the gay community, I think there's going to be like individuals who find it going both ways because they understand the parody.
Right, yeah. And I think, yeah, it definitely is that is definitely going to be depending who you are, that might be complimentary, it might be offensive, for sure, yes.
Yeah,
and
that's
which let's face it, that is where Mel Brooks's sweet spot is.
You are wildly correct there. I am 100% with you. Tell us about being meant for Maid Marian, like since they were little children and stuff like that.
Right.
Which sets up the chastity belt payoff and the key.
Right, yeah.
Okay. I recognize how stupid this question is, and especially with this kind of movie. And I should not be thinking about logic when I'm watching a Mel Brooks movie. I understand this.
Oh no.
But how could you have like if that chastity belt has been on forever, eventually at one point it was too big. I don't like how my brain works. It should not be tearing apart a Mel Brooks movie.
And
like
while
that.
and while we're at it, why is the dad referring to that as the greatest treasure in the world?
Why? Yeah, now hold on. Whoa. The bloodline may have been what he was talking about.
All right. I will give that. But hey, if you're gonna try to bring logic into a Mel Brooks movie, let's go down the fucking rabbit hole, sir. Why don't we?
I shouldn't do it. I said I shouldn't. Talks about circumcisions and everybody wants one. Like, I'll take 2. Then they find out. They're like, I think I'm good. And the rabbi's line, like, I gotta play to a younger crowd. It's like, dude. But also, kind of like a really smart commentary on the fact that if men had a say in this, we would all say no.
Right. Yep.
Every single one of us. None of us would have said yes to this.
Right.
Like, it is kind of like, I thought that was a really smart way to play that joke, and I don't think I ever caught that. Like that suggestion until this time.
Right.
They want to get drunk, but it's sacramental wine. What happens? We'll bless the rocks. We'll bless the trees. We'll bless the sun. We'll bless them all. Let's get hammered. Like,
right. Yeah.
There's a good Friar Tuck for you. Or what was his name? Friar what?
He was Rabbi Tuckman.
Rabbi. I know Robin Hood so well that I never even bothered to learn his name. In my mind, he's just been Friar Tuck every time I've done. Like he's the Rabbi Friar Tuck. That's shit. I never even bothered to even try to learn that. The Godfather scene, definitely. That's on the nose. It's very, very clear. And it was supposed to be Don Giovanni, played by Dom DeLuise, with Filthy Luca. And it was supposed to be Dirty Harry, but one of the producers, a guy named Ezio, showed up on set that day. So Mel Brooks decided to change his name from Dirty Harry to Dirty Ezio.
Okay. Okay, sure, why not?
The dude had Clint Eastwood's face. It didn't really matter what you called him. You
Right,
knew
yeah.
what we were like. We knew what we were watching.
Right.
That was really obvious. Cut out his tongue for making a goofy face. Just watching Dom DeLuise go, that was worth it.
Well, I mean, Dom DeLuise is one of the was one of the Mel Brooks all stars. Like any Mel Brooks movie, like that's the moment where Mel Brooks is just saying, "Okay, point the camera at Dom, go, whatever,
Who was
do
Dom
whatever."
in Blazing Saddles?
He was not in Blazing Saddles.
Okay, I was about to say I'm
Yeah.
really blanking on that. I'm not picking him up. Okay.
Like he played a big role in History of the World. He was Caesar in History of the World. I remember
Okay.
that much. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm with you on that. Marion overheard, and it's time to warn Robin. Jumps down to Lady, and Farfin Cougar ain't having it. The subtitles under the horse because, yeah, you know what? Amy Yasbeck, she cruises down there, and yeah, oh lady,
Right.
like
Yeah.
the full Snow White treatment and everything. And then you get Megan Cavanagh coming in as Brunhilde. That horse.
Yeah.
Oh, she's got to be kidding. Every joke is offensive. It's Mel Brooks. Every single joke is offensive. It just is what it is. Like, I don't know how to get around these things. Robin Hood coming up and realizing they have Blinken as the lookout. What are you doing? I'm guessing. I guess there's no one coming.
That was pretty funny. I like that one.
That's gets his sight back, falls out of the tree. I can see. No, I was wrong.
Right.
Like, not I can't see or like I'm blind again or something like that.
Right.
No, he was just wrong. Right. I thought that is what made that so much funnier and had it stand out from all the others.
Yes, absolutely. I did like that one. Yep.
Dance number. Let's face it, you gotta be a man to wear tights.
Yep.
That dance number. I mean, come on, Doc. You've been pretty quiet on the love for this one.
It wasn't bad. No, and lyrics were good. It was solid. Yeah, it was a decent number, and it was kind of one of those things where, like I felt like this was the part that they thought of first. Like this was like
this is what they built the movie around.
Right, exactly. Everything leading up to this scene was just to get us to this scene. And then everything after was just, all right, now we got to finish this fucking movie somehow. We shot our big scene, our big dance number with the song. We make fun of Kevin Costner for 5 straight minutes, and our, yeah. Now this scene was the reason the movie was made, in my opinion. Everything else was just an excuse for the rest to get the budget, so.
Which I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no. I've made movies with worse reasons behind them.
There are enough gags in this movie to keep me watching all the way from the beginning through to the end.
Yeah.
But that is why I go watch this movie over and over, or I did as a child watch this movie. Like every time it was on TBS, my ass was making sure it was there. Like I used to check the TV. You remember TV Guide?
Oh, I remember TV Guide. Yes.
Yeah, I would check and see, and I would see what movies were coming out that week, what was going to be on, like during the the hours that I was going to have access to a TV.
Yep.
No, man, like, damn.
No, for me, that was
something that's dating me.
Sunday mornings, getting the Sunday paper that's got the TV Guide for the week, and sitting there reading through it, going like, all right, what's happening? Yeah, and same thing, like what movies are playing when. Is this week's episode of such and such show going to be a new episode or a rerun? Because they'll mark it for you. It'll have a little R next to it if it's going to be a rerun this week. Like that. Those were the things they did for us, and just making sure I knew everything that was coming, so I would know. All right, Thursday, I got to make sure that I'm done with dinner by this time, so I'm in front of the TV by this time for this show. Stuff like that.
Marion and Broomhilda arrive, and yeah, like, Marion gets helped off the horse, and Broomhilda falls off the horse on Little John,
Right.
and like, can I do anything for you? He's like, you can start by getting off me. And he full, like, I like that, like, dude, what's wrong with you? Like, I panicked. I like that he wasn't into the bigger gal, but the fact that he was so into her that he panicked, that was, the jokes to go that direction is
Yes.
why I love Mel Brooks.
Yes.
Because I feel like pretty much anybody else would have gone the other direction.
Probably, yes.
And like that, she warns him and then lures him to the contest by the warning.
I did, and especially Elwes's delivery on that, where she's just like, "You can't go to the festival." And he's like, "Fine, I won't go." And she's like, "Oh, good. They were gonna lure you there with an archery contest." And he goes, "An archery contest?" Like he like hands to the beard, looking off to the distance. An archery contest, you say? Like, fuck, like he made a meal out of that. And it worked.
He did. And I like that. Promise you won't go. All right, I promise you won't go. And I like that. I feel like this is the thing that my friends and I should have taken from this when we were kids. They're like, cool it, chilled. I feel like that exchange is something that we should have taken, but I feel like we were laughing so hard as children that we missed that line.
That's the thing, is that that line comes so far into so many laugh lines right before it. It's an easy one to miss for sure.
It's a good one though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really like that. I have been singing this in the back of my mind ever since I watched this. The night is young and you're so beautiful. E flat. and he goes into the song.
That brings us to my favorite gag of the movie, is when he starts singing and he belts full force right into her face, and she gives a full shriek in response, and it's just like, okay, right, it's a romantic scene, okay, and like that whole cascade in her face, all in the span of a second, was fucking hilarious to me. That was my one laugh out loud moment of the movie.
One?
Yes. I mean, I got a decent chuckle out of some of the other stuff. You know, Richard Lewis, I got plenty of chuckles out of him, but an actual laugh out loud moment, that was it. That was the one for me. And
I scream laughed at I touched it. And I have a headache. I touched it. And
right. Okay.
I got a good belly chuckle from Little John and Robin Hood. Like, toes a toe, the rolls a roll. We don't get no toes, we don't eat no rolls. I wrote that. I fall in love with that dude every single time I see him deliver that line over and over again. But because I have the same laugh that you do, but I keep going immediately after when the merry men are like when they're doing all this stuff and doing the background, and they have like the shaker and all of this stuff to add the music to it. And her confusion, like, where's all that? Oh no, I'm still here. You're singing it. Where's all that coming from? Everything. I don't stop laughing from the moment they start singing, from the moment they say, you got to be a real man to wear tights, to the archery contest. I don't stop laughing.
Okay. All right.
Like, all the way up when he's singing and like the hilt of the sword or the sheath from the sword comes all the way up, and then like the blanket comes down and he like pushes the sheath down like he's trying to hide his penis. All of that just crushes. Yeah, man, I had like 5 lines here. I didn't even need to look down at here because I already knew everything, because like, I know this way too well. Made Marion's standards keep dropping all the way until, because he's talking about like she has the Everlast and all that, the chastity belt.
My one true love, or till he marries me, or if he's nice.
Or unless he's really cute. Right. By the way, her chosen accent for this one was perfect.
Yes. Yeah.
It was just
she was great.
Comedic and amazing. No. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. It's just like, yeah, I agree. She was fantastic.
One of my favorite lines. Dude, I don't know how to narrow this down really. But when he like ting right into the chastity belt. She's like, oh, it's an Everlast. Dude, I was a boxer. That is a joke that like I wore Everlast gear over my junk when I went into the ring. So that joke landed on me so hard. Like you cannot imagine. Like just talk about scream laughs, everything like that. The bummer part is I can never forget that she says that because of the fact like my experience as a boxer and everything. Like that's the bummer
Right.
part. I will
Okay.
always know that it's coming, but it still kills me. Broomhilda is worse than a chastity belt. No ding ding without a wedding ring. I just very much like Senka in Cool Runnings because we discovered that. Every time Megan Cavanagh opens her mouth, perfect. Just perfect. The merry men show up in drag for the archery contest, blinking looking like a bleeding Picasso, and the assassin is in position.
Mm.
Okay, now, between me and you,
Right.
is it just me? Or was his disguise not super convincing?
Yeah. I think probably more than half the budget went into that makeup to make that disguise look so good.
To
To the point, I think the first time I saw that, I wondered if they actually had a separate actor playing him, and
Same.
then just in the last scene, it was some sort of like half-assed, fake out to look kind of like that guy, but because he's pulling it off so fast, we don't notice that it's not him. That was my thinking the first time I saw it. I did not watch closely enough to actually test that theory this time around.
I did.
So,
That's Elwes's beard.
okay,
The
okay.
mustache, no. The nose, no. But that is his beard under there.
So that actually was a phenomenal makeup job. Yeah.
Yeah. No, okay. It looks like it's not just me. I like that. I think that's him. Looks like Mark Twain. Which the line that comes up just right after that, like it gets revealed that it's Robin Hood, and we get the Arsenio,
Right.
which yes, if you were not alive in the '90s, you are not gonna know what the fuck that is. I completely understand that, but the Arsenio whoop was how
Right.
he got like his show started, the breaks, everything.
Yep. And which is interesting because it was so endemic. Like his doing that caught on so fucking fast.
Dude, we were doing it in gym class when I was a kid.
That's the thing. And the fact that as soon as he ended his show and went off the air, that died with his show immediately. Like no one's really done it since. And that kind of surprised me that he really owns it. If Arsenio's not doing it, nobody is. So seeing something where they do that, you're like people nowadays are like, what the fuck are they doing? It literally is like, oh, this movie came out when Arsenio was on because that's the only time anyone's ever done it.
That's a really easy way to mark a movie. That's kind of
right.
That's interesting. I didn't really think about that, but that makes complete sense. The crowd is on his side until I split Robin's arrow in twine. The over the top delivery of like all of these one-off characters, it is as over the top as I'm delivering it. Like I'm not doing an exaggeration, and that is the thing that makes it so great. Like that's the thing about like Mel Brooks movies is if you're going to audition for one of his films, you know that you're going to have to commit 100. Like if he says be goofy, like give it your all, you should not have anything left to give.
No, yeah.
Like
put it on, for sure.
No judgment. Just good God. Then we get the chop, which is that still a popular thing?
I have no idea. I do not watch baseball. I only remember back when it was like the big controversy was first starting up.
With the Braves.
Yeah.
But most baseball teams did do that for home games. It wasn't just the Braves.
Really? Okay. See, I didn't know that. I only heard about it with the Braves controversy, so I had no idea. Once they stopped talking about it on the news, I don't know.
Oh, fair enough. checks the script, and he gets another shot. And Blinken with the epic reflexes, like, I heard that coming a mile away. What? Who said that? I was like, all that. Quick, done. We're out. Patriot Arrow? Okay. Is that a joke on the American military industrial complex?
That is absolutely a Gulf War joke for sure. Because
okay,
yeah,
all right.
Because a lot of hay was made over the Patriot missiles when we in the first Iraq conflict. Like that was basically what they were saying. I was like, yeah, there's this whole armed like we're shooting at them, they're shooting at us. It's this whole thing, but we have the Patriot missile, which is like, is like the difference between a Gatling gun and a musket with what they're shooting at us. Like that was the pride of the first Gulf War conflict. Well, the one in the 90s anyway. So
I was about to say, I mean, like,
yeah.
First is kind of a definitive thing to say on this one.
Right, yeah. Bush Senior's Gulf War.
There you go.
Yeah, the Patriot missile was the star of it. So yeah, I'm. They had another Bush joke in there somewhere. I completely forgot about. I remember when
I'll find it.
It was at the beginning. I know we already passed it. Oh. This was the second Bush joke I remember. There was one earlier, and now that we've passed it, I can't remember what it was because I just remember thinking like, oh wow, Bush humor. Haven't heard. I miss Bush humor. It was so easy and simple.
That was innocent jokes. Yeah. Well, for the most part. Yeah. It was a simpler time.
Oh, I just remembered what it was. It was when he was talking to the sheriff of Rottingham the first time, and he was like, "Oh, you went to the Crusades," and he's like, "That's right. My father couldn't get me into the National Guard."
Oh yeah. But didn't this movie came out during the Clinton administration? I didn't think we would have Bush Jr. jokes like that.
That is weird, isn't it?
Are you sure that's a Bush Jr. joke, or it's not just a National Guard joke?
It might be actually. Now that you mention it, it may have just been a general, like National Guard joke. Yeah. It just happened to become prescient again 10 years later.
Fair enough. Arrested and sent to the gallows until Marion agrees to do the most disgusting thing she can think of. Marry the sheriff.
Right.
Like that. You can only have my body, but you can never have my mind, heart, and my soul. Oh, yes, I respect that.
Right. That was the delivery of that too. I do like the fact that like the easy joke would have just been like, I'm okay with that. But no, he went with, oh, I respect that. Like that made it funnier.
That kicked it up. Then the walk with this way gig. Walk this way. Huh. And then all like Robin Hood, all the guards, everybody, they all do the hair whip and walk that way.
Yeah, I think that's a signature for Mel Brooks. I think that one's in all of his movies, I think.
Oh, is it?
I think. I feel like it has been at the very least. So
fair enough. We'll have to check. And now it's time to fox the villagers. The 12th century fox gag, I got a huge laugh out of. I may be alone, but I got it. All right, let's get out of these ladies' clothing and into our tights. Man, like Dave Chappelle does kind of kill it. I mean, it's Dave Chappelle. You really kind of a given. Robert Ridgely as the hangman. The second time we get him as the hangman, but the last time the eye patch was on the other eye. Thought that was kind of funny how they decided to do that. And then Dick Van Patten as the abbot.
Which, all to deliver one gag that somehow worked anyway.
It worked great. See, because here's the thing. I had no idea that was an Abbott and Costello gag. And it still worked on me before I even found out before I even saw any other stuff.
That I was gonna ask. I'm like, it kind of makes me wonder, like, who would anybody get it? Because I mean, I knew Abbott and Costello because I was a basic cable kid. I saw that's how I learned about the Marx Brothers and the Three Stooges and Abbott and Costello. I knew about all these guys because of that. But it didn't take long for that to become one of those things where it's like you kind of have to be told about them to know about them. So I gotta wonder who's going to get a Hey Abbott joke nowadays. but but there you go. You just kind of said, like, even not knowing, it's still funny. I'm like, okay, then all right, good, go Mel. You
Yeah.
got that one.
The electronic castle gate, good little chuckle. Didn't just was like, whatever. Conducting the prayer in the New Latin, Pig Latin.
Right.
I didn't get that joke as a kid. I have to admit that I was too dumb to get that one. But I was always too dumb to properly learn how to speak Pig Latin.
Okay. Well, okay. Real quick question. When we talk about you as a kid seeing this for the first time, how old were you
When this movie came out?
when you first saw it? I mean, did you see it in the theater or did you see it on home video?
I was 4 when it came out in theaters. Even if I saw it in theaters, I wouldn't be able to recognize it. So no, I saw
There
it
you
on
go. So
video, video, yeah.
which is why I ask, how old were you when you saw it?
Tough to say. Like, that's the thing. Like, I just remember, like, I don't
Okay, that was
remember
one
when
of
I
those-
first saw it. Like, it's just one that I've always known.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
My babysitter probably watched it. Like, my mom, like, everybody was watching it so it was one of those things.
Okay. Well, then, yeah, I'd say I wouldn't say, you know, I'd call it forgivable. Then it's kind of one of those things. Like, you keep saying, like, I was too dumb to get this. I'm like, dude, what were you, like 6, 7? Stop calling. Like, that's not dumb. That's just starting.
Hey, it's still dumb. It's just justifiably dumb.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair.
Everyone laughing at the sheriff's name being Mervyn, even the abbot. Like, can we move forward? Okay. Mervyn. Just, I love it. Chappelle saves Robin, and that hangman pun. You know what they say? No news is good news. Like, I mean,
yeah, I do got to appreciate the humor of a hangman who's trying really hard to keep the mood up. Like, they're that joke in and of itself is worthwhile, you know.
very fair. The fight ensues, and the sheriff kidnaps Marion, and he's gonna deflower her in the tower. Like, there was no need to rhyme, but I'm glad they did.
Okay, yeah.
I like that. The sheriff's response to a chastity belt? That's gonna chafe my willy. Roger Rees, such a fantastic dramatic actor, committing all the way to these lines. I love when we get to see stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like, because we have Sir Patrick Stewart in this movie still being serious.
Oh, yeah, he's very much like, you know, he's coming in like, if I'm going to play King Richard the Lionheart, I'm going to play King Richard the Lionheart. You're just going to have to work with that.
Yeah, we didn't get the comedy Patrick Stewart, like playing the baby on American Dad and talking about soiling his diapers. We didn't get that Patrick Stewart for a little while yet. This, like, Sir Patrick Stewart, like, he was still like, yeah, I'll do a comedy, but I'm going to be the straightest man here. Like, different kind of funny. I love when he busts through the door, prepare for the fight scene. And on guard, thanks for the warning.
Right.
All of this, I love it when the sword goes against the stone and gets those sparks. Shocking. Like, all of these one-liners for the trailer, I loved them all.
Okay.
Like, you're gonna have to tell me if you got a good laugh out of this one. Parry, thrust, good. Like, as like Elwes is coaching, the fight scene.
Well, and that's the thing, is like, that kind of like, that was a Princess Bride flashback was what that was. That was one of those moments where you're just, where it's like, you got to wonder, was that the intentional joke or was that just a happy accident that you're looking at this and going like, dude, this is Wesley. Like, Wesley is
well, I mean, so Elwes' performance in The Princess Bride is what got Mel Brooks' attention to get him to do this. So, probably.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay.
I mean, that kind of makes all the sense in the world when you think about it. The shadow puppet fight, I loved that one. But the thing about this fight scene is it's the joy in Elwes's face that sells the entire thing. The swords are clanging. There's not a blink. There's not even a twitch. This is a man with so much experience doing this that he is comfortable to the maximum. And I get so much enjoyment out of that fight scene. And I think that's part of it.
Okay.
Like the calm and joy in his face, the smirk across his like that he wears, like just every part of it. It's too cool to me, man. Like, and that's just what it is. It's cool. He is a very cool character, and I really appreciate it. Growling like dogs, and his necklace medallion gets busted off, breaks, and the key goes down into that. It's a perfect fit. It is the key to the greatest treasure in all the land.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, it's kind of like it's one of those hang a hat on the coincidence thing where he cuts it, it flies through the air, they're all watching it, it smashes against the ceiling, the key comes out, tumbles through the air, and lands perfectly right in the keyhole of her chastity belt. And yeah, it's one of those, like, we see these sort of like, making fun of the Hollywood like coincidence machine to the max.
There you go. This proves you are always my one true love. It's a perfect fit, just the right size. And of course, if you say something about size, you gotta have the other line. It's not the size that counts, it's how you use it. I want to know where that started because it doesn't really seem to be as much of a thing anymore. I don't hear that ever these days. But damn, did I hear that in like so much for so long.
Yeah.
So I do kind of want to know where that started. Sheriff gets got and Latrine saves the day. I've got this magic pill, which the fact that they used a lifesaver, a peppermint lifesaver to save the sheriff's life. You cheeky son of a bitch, Mel Brooks.
Yep.
The way she drags him off. I always wanted to marry a cop.
Right.
Tracey Ullman, dude.
I know, right? Yeah. Just, don't try to explain it, just to appreciate the magic that she brings.
And Broomhilda just comes in, sees like what's about to happen. Yes. No. Like that whole thing. Oh my God. Hey, Rabbi, we need to get married in a hurry. Married in a hurry? That's perfect. That chop and scream. When I was a child not knowing what was happening in there, that was one thing. As an adult, knowing what's happening in there, I get a reaction now. And then, Robin to you, Marion to you. And I like that. I object. Who asked?
Right.
Oh, that was a good one. Sir Patrick Stewart returns from the Crusades as King Richard and is Scottish for some reason.
Right, yeah. I kept waiting because it had been a while, so that was one of those things. Like I kept waiting for someone to make the crack about that. Like to have Elwes go like, by the way, Your Majesty, why are you Scottish? Or maybe was there some history about Richard the Lionheart being Scottish?
No, the ironic part is 2 miles away from where Sir Patrick Stewart grew up is where Robin Hood was buried. Robin of Locksley is buried. No, there's probably no other actor who knows that story as well as he does. which kind of makes it even funnier.
Right, yeah.
No, that's
yes, it is. That was kind of weird. Like why? And again, maybe we're still making fun of Kevin Costner. Like that's we're just using wrong accents everywhere. Like who knows? But for some weird reason,
dude,
Patrick
you're right.
Stewart
No. You said maybe, but you were right. Sean Connery played the king in that, didn't he? Or,
I don't remember.
No, okay. Or were they making fun of Sean Connery being Arthur?
That's also possible. I do remember he was King Arthur, back in the 80s. Sure, yeah.
Who was King Richard in the Kevin Costner Men in Tights?
I do not remember.
I only remember 2 actors from that movie. I remember Kevin Costner, and I remember I don't even remember his name. I remember one actor from the Kevin Costner one.
Yeah, I do not recall at all, Senator.
All right, fair enough. So he objects. All the toilets in the kingdom will henceforth be called John's. Robin Hood gets knighted, and the king gets a smooch. Which I'm not gonna lie, that has popped up in so many movies and stuff like that. Like I got curious about it. That was not a thing. Thank God that was not a thing. I have always hated that. I like looked at the monarchy and like that aspect. I'm like, that is monarchy has done like some really messed up stuff. In my eyes, that is like if that is a tradition, that is one like good God.
The writ of prima nocta. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. No. Wrong. Like big thing. New
so
sheriff.
That never happened because that was like the major plot point of Braveheart. That was the entire point of the movie.
I know. And I like okay, and like so, like I said, I did some research. Obviously, I am not a historian. I didn't ask a historian or like that, but they said that was never common practice or an accepted tradition.
Wow. Okay.
So,
well,
were there some psychos that did some stuff with armed guards? Sure, probably. I mean, you never say never when it comes to humans. But
no, especially rich ones. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but no, that was never an accepted practice. That was not something that was actually allowed. The new sheriff, a black sheriff, and then hey, it worked in Blazing Saddles.
Yep.
Kind of weird to have Mel Brooks throw to himself as the success, but at the same time, when you have a success at that level, maybe not that weird.
Right, yeah. And I thought it was funny enough that they go the black sheriff thing. The fact that he actually had to hang it like that calls to what you're always talking about trust your audience. I feel like actually saying Blazing Saddles was them not trusting their audience enough to get the a black sheriff in unison joke. Like they could have just cut it right there and that would have been funny enough. I felt like, like really like planting a flag on it by having him look at the camera and say Blazing Saddles, that ruined it for me, and so
I can see that. No, okay, I can see that. The ending rap, hey, nani, and we're out.
Right.
And ending credits with short shots, I really do miss that for like the big ones, Mel Brooks, Dick Van Patten, like Patrick Stewart. Welcome home, Mrs. of Locksley. And that whole call the locksmith, like that whole bit, like the thing is, I don't like that it ended that way. However, I have never forgotten that it ends that way. So I guess, a little bit of a wash, But okay, so final thoughts on Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Final thoughts? Well, I mean, there are arguments that it is a classic because like Airplane, it took what was a skyrocketing genre, which is a pretty specific genre. It's weird to think that Robin Hood as a genre, but there really was a time where we were getting like 2 Robin Hood movies a year. And so it just happened. But yeah, to the movie that finally wraps up that that franchise by planting a flag on everything wrong with it. We get those and this is that movie for that era. So in that way it's a classic. However, like I said at the beginning, this is my least favorite Mel Brooks movie. I feel like if you're going to go for that kind of humor, there are much better choices to go with. There is Blazing Saddles, there is History of the World, there is Silent Movie, there is Young fucking Frankenstein.
All right, fair enough. The reason that I brought this one into it is kind of the same for a lot of the other ones that I bring in. There's a whole host of love that I have with this. Just like I know that we did it as a backup episode, but like Cool Runnings, like we talk about explaining the jokes and all this. Cool Runnings has a bunch of one-liners that a lot of people have quoted. Robin Hood Men in Tights has a ton of one-liners that people quote to this very day. Sure. Culturally significant, I don't know, no more than any other Robin Hood movie. Culturally significant, I don't know, no more than any other Mel Brooks movie. Like it's not the best of either of them. However, film debut of Dave Chappelle.
Oh, that's right. That was his film debut. I forgot about that. Okay.
So a little bit. I mean, so whether it's culturally significant or not, one of our cultural icons, like one of the American icons of modern history, film debut, maybe worth checking out because of that.
Sure.
Dated jokes. It's always kind of fun to go to the eras and look at the jokes of the time and see what was pushing the envelope of that era.
Sure. Okay.
So I'm not gonna put this one on the must see, but I'm definitely throwing it all the way up on the this movie's gonna like it's enjoyable. It's funny as hell. I don't think there's anybody who's going to watch it and not get a belly chuckle. At least
You're probably right. You're probably right, yeah.
And we're back. Part 2 of tonight's episode is going to be Deathtrap. So before we get into it, oh yeah, about as big as it can get. Before we get into it, Doc, why don't you tell us why you brought this one to us?
This is one of those movies that has been on my mind for a long time, and I remember not really seeing it as a kid. My parents watched it. My parents really liked it. I remember they saw it like 2 or 3 times at home. And for me as a kid, I was always very confused because I was like, "What is Superman doing?" Like because Christopher Reeves, my Superman is sitting there up there being a sociopathic killer, and I'm just like, I'm such a confused child. Why is Clark Kent so angry? Like, and so, but I as I grew older, I kind of like was able to put 2 and 2 together in a theater class reading the play Deathtrap. And I was like, oh, that's what that was. Okay. Now it all makes sense. And I kept meaning to go back to it and never did. This is actually the first time I have actually sat down and watched it all the way through as an adult. Not, only kind of knowing what I'm getting into. Because to top it off, I felt like there's probably something there to the fact that we've got 2 powerhouses like Michael Caine and Christopher Reeve doing a show like this. I'm like, this probably deserves a revisit. And so that was why, yeah. And so, yeah, I was only slightly more prepared for this than you were because of vague childhood memories of when my parents watched this.
Oh, that is fair enough.
Yeah.
This, I feel bad because after having done a little bit of research on it, after I watched it, I came across something that Michael Caine said. Sir Michael Caine once said of this movie, "We all swore an oath in blood. Well, perhaps it was Chablis. Not to spoil the fun by running off at the mouth. This thing has more twist than the Grand Cornish, and there's nothing worse than seeing a mystery after some twit has told you the butler did it."
Right. And that occurred to me as I was watching it. Was like, oh shit, we're about to give it all away, aren't we? Like, oh, like if there was ever a time to say to the audience, if you have not seen this movie yet, you need to stop this show and go watch it before you listen to the rest of this, watch the rest of this, because we're going to get into some spoilers, and this is the kind of thing that the word spoilers was invented for. This isn't just like, oh yeah, I saw it coming a mile away. That that all that. No,
you can't see this coming.
No, this we will truly. I mean, we may not destroy your enjoyment of the movie, but it's going to be a measurable difference. Like going in knowing nothing on this movie is 1,000 times better than going in knowing what's happening. You can still enjoy it.
100% true.
You can still enjoy it knowing what you're getting into, but not nearly as much, for sure. Like, so yeah, this is a fair warning. Spoiler alert. No, seriously, spoiler alert.
If you have not seen this one, trust us on this. We're going to get right to it. I mean, before we cover it, it's a must-see.
Yes, absolutely.
So if you have not seen it, shut this down, go watch it, and come revisit the edited episode on Saturday.
Yeah, I agree.
Fair warning, you have had the fairest of warnings before we get into this one. Deathtrap, play written by Ira Levin, and screenplay by J. Presson Allen, directed by Sidney Lumet, starring Michael Caine, Christopher Reeve, and Dyan Caine, with Irene Worth and Henry Jones. Very small cast, but after watching this, really made me want to go watch Death and the Maiden.
Oh yes, I remember that one. Yeah, no, that's
I
another.
never saw it.
Oh, okay.
I've only read the play.
Oh,
The play, the play was handed to me to go through and pick out a scene to perform in acting class. I sat down, read the entire play, and then I couldn't find anybody who wanted to do a scene from that with me. And I was like, you guys all suck.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
That was one of the greatest things that I'd ever read. And I know that there's what is it? Sigourney Weaver?
Weaver and and Pete, no, not Pete Postlethwaite. The Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, Ben Kingsley.
Yeah.
That I need to see that.
No, definitely. Yeah. No, it's pretty good.
All right. So you can't exactly miss who is in this with credits so huge over all these weapons. Sidney Brule, played by Michael Caine, watching his latest release from the back and listening to people trash his play.
Right.
Just, this is the worst play I've ever seen. I can't believe Sidney Brule wrote this. Like, damn.
He's taking a powder on it. Yeah. And he's feeling it too. Like you see him leave the theater in the middle of the show to go to the bar next door to have a drink.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is.
And he calls his wife, and Myra Brule, played by Dyan Caine, anxiously answers his call to comfort him. And yeah, I wasn't sure, like, so we find out that she has a heart condition. She's got pills. There's a bunch of cigarettes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like he's well, I mean, that's things. They do look like joints, but at the same time,
but
when
I mean,
they're talking
like
about
a rolled cigarette.
That's the thing is when he's talking to her about it later on, it sounds like he's talking about cigarettes.
Yeah. Seymour, played by Joe Silver, tearing into Caine about if you trust a fool like Brule, you deserve to go broke. His lawyer, his wife, everybody warned him like 3 flops in a row, and now you got yours. Like, it really hammers home how low this character is.
Right, yeah. Nobody is on his side right now except his wife, but she's not there. She's back at home, apparently sick because she has some sort of heart condition. She's kind of bedridden, sort of, but she's also.
How soon do you want to get into the spoilers?
Well, I mean, we see right off the bat that she's got a condition because the first scene we see her in, she's in bed taking pills. But we're also seeing at the same time.
Well, no, but where I'm talking about with the spoiler.
With the heart condition?
Well, it's the heart condition, but also Michael Caine later in the film says that he's been telling everybody for days now that she's been under the weather. So her not being allowed to go to the opening night is him prefacing the fact that she has been sick.
Right. That's, yeah. You know what? I didn't even catch that.
Oh.
Yeah. I
don't know if I'm right about that.
Okay. So it could go either way because she is in bed taking pills when we first see her, but she is also clearly high strung. That's the thing about this poor girl is that she has a heart condition and also extreme anxiety problems. She jumps at every freaking noise. So it's like, Jesus, talk about born under a bad sign. Like,
good God. And the bartender calling Michael Caine kid? Nope. That was weird. And the reviews are coming in over the TV, and damn, they were about as rough as could possibly be.
Yeah.
The wife is crying, and he is drunk yelling, "I'm doing the only sensible thing. I'm getting pissed." Now, I don't know about you, but to me, it felt like some parts were cut out there.
No, yes, I felt that too, and I kind of wrote that off as the adaptation thing because this was a stage play, which means it probably originally all took place just in their living room, and all the rest of the stuff we're seeing is just sort of added in to sort of set up the goings on. So I figured these were all very quickly written, not really meant to be there other than to set things up to get us to the living room.
You know what I'm kind of thinking here? Because you're
Mm,
absolutely correct about that. Everything beyond that, like him being at the play, the bar, everything, all of those scenes were added in.
right.
But the dialogue, I don't think the dialogue was added in. I think that
No?
dialogue is from the original, which is why it's there and everything like that. And it would make sense if he was just at home delivering those lines and he had just gotten home and it wasn't happening over the phone.
Right.
So I
That
don't know
would
if they
make sense.
changed
Yeah.
any of the dialogue except for, well, I don't know.
Hmm.
Another one of those that I really need to go just read the play afterwards.
Sure, yeah.
The taxi ride home to our opening shot. The wife screams and he follows suit. Like he comes in and she sees him and she just screams and he
Right.
just tears into her. And what we
Right.
find out later in the film is he is trying to give her a heart attack. So that, like Kel and I were watching this and being like, is this them all the time? But
Yeah. Because
as the film progressed, it
right.
kind of made a lot more sense that he was kind of hauling off on her all the time at this point because of her
Hmm.
heart condition, and he was just trying to push her over the edge in a way without a third person there. Like, do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, well, but in first viewing, it feels like this is just kind of one of those weirdly like dysfunctional relationships in that she is trying everything to cheer him up, to be supportive, and he's taking all of his shit out on her,
Yep.
and that's really what it looks like. And to a degree too, where it's like even as they're going to bed, he's telling her like, you fucking he's basically cursing her out as they're going into bed together, and so it's like I guess no, it's not that bad, but he's still kind of like
Well, I don't know. Well, because he gets up there, he sees her medication, and then he sees all the cigarettes next to him. He's like, "You
right,
know, you can't smoke." Like that was like the only part of the movie that I actually saw him care for her. So that was kind of
right.
it's kind of weird that that's where you took that because that was like literally the only time that I actually saw him care
But
about
even
her.
but even then, he's still putting it on her because he's
Oh,
saying
I
like,
okay. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
because what he's saying like you can't smoke. He's like, I can't be worried that you're gonna to not take my eyes off you is what he's saying. He's basically like going like he's saying like, look, I can't trust you. You're a pain in my ass. I can't leave you here for one day without you smoking the place up or and not taking your meds and stuff. He's basically blaming her for not being good enough that he can't leave her alone. So even on top, so that caring about her is layered with you're a burden to me, like right there, while she's
I
tucking him
see
into
that
bed.
later. I see that later, and like it's definitely in the character because
Hmm.
when he's telling her like helping like forcing her down the stairs to go look outside, he's like, "You're gonna do this. You're gonna satisfy me. You're gonna satisfy yourself." Like he says himself first when he
Right,
honestly shouldn't even have mentioned himself at all.
right.
But
But that's the thing
um,
is like we're getting
so I do
layers
know that
of
that
what, yeah,
character is there, and at the end of this scene where she tries to like cuddle with him, but he refuses to let her.
right.
There, I saw it. This moment, I didn't see that because, like, when
Okay.
he says, like, I can't take my eyes off you, she stops taking care of herself. And, like, she only does it when he's there. It's kind of that narcissist thing. Like, I'm
Right.
only going to
Okay.
perform when somebody's looking at me.
Okay.
That's where obviously we know this is not a good character.
Right.
So, I
Yes.
mean, I can't put any definitive stuff on this. But that was the thing, like his tone, the look in his eye, everything about that. That was like the one moment he broke from his plan and actually, like in my eyes, that's what I saw. Because, like I
Okay.
said, I watched it a couple times.
Right. Okay.
Um, when he picked that, he looked at the cigarettes and he looked at her. The anger, the yelling, all of that stuff, it wasn't there.
Mm.
It was it
Okay.
felt more genuine. And I kind of keyed in on that. I want so one of subtleties, man. Subtleties of great writing.
Which kind of does help because what we're seeing here is this whole setup is like you said, he's trying to prep her for a heart attack, but for those of us who aren't in the know watching it for the first time, we're thinking it's just him having a bad day and taking it out on her. We're not killing in on it because yeah, because there are little tiny soft moments where he actually acts like a husband for 5 seconds, so
Literally only for a few seconds at a time. Like it.
right.
This is not a good dude.
Yeah.
Because he's like freaking out about how he's written out and his work is terrible, but an infant writer from a former seminar sent a script and it was gold, which
Right.
just makes things worse. You're
Mhm.
at a point, you're struggling with writing, and then another young writer comes in and all of a sudden he just nails it like first time coming out of the park.
Yeah.
Doc, did you put this out here for a reason?
Nope. Don't read into it. Don't read into it. Don't read into it.
I
Let's just
can't
move
believe I
on.
spent that much time on this shit and that didn't dawn on me until we were live. Fuck. Thinks he remembers the man as the obese glandular piggy who sat at the
Right.
front and like we were just talking about for a first, because this movie, yes, watch it a couple times. It is worth it because the
Mhm.
first time I was watching this one, I was seeing him like it's the fat guy. No, it's the guy with the stammer. He's just trying to find imperfections over. He read something that he viewed as perfect, so he's trying to find any
Right.
imperfection in the person that he can feel okay about.
Exactly. Yeah.
The fact that the character planned that out to like feed that into the wife and the audience, you got to give the character credit. Not a good dude, but still brilliant.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Then the next morning, how's it read when you're sober? Worse than I thought. It's perfect. And then he goes into, he's like, you know what I should do? Go ahead.
That is the first clue in where he says, like, you know what I ought to do? I'd invite him over here, club him over the head with my mace, and put my name on this script. That's what I ought to do. And she's like, ah, ha, ha, yeah, you're funny. So it's really that good, huh? And he's like, no, and that's where he leads into my favorite line of this movie, where he says, this script is so good, not even a gifted director could hurt it.
And for the modern era, gifted meant special. Or how do we?
No,
I
think they literally meant like a great director, like taking your script, handing it to your favorite, most gifted director, and they go, "I'm gonna make this my baby and turn it into something like that." Still happens, Like
I took that way the other direction. I
no,
took
yeah,
that as
no,
though like you could hand this to a director that's been touched, and
yeah, no,
even that means something different these days. God damn. What do you say to actually reference what those jokes like mean?
Ugh.
Ugh.
But no, I definitely think that he was saying like a gifted director, as in a director who believes they can do no wrong, like, and who everyone around them tells they can do no wrong. Even they could not ruin this script, because that's how scripts get ruined, is that they get handed to a director who thinks they shit gold.
I would not call that a gifted director. I would call that I got plenty of other words for that.
That was my take on it.
Subjective. That's the whole point of these
Mhm.
things. What's a mace for if you don't use it? They they red herring Chekhov'd us so hard.
Oh, I know, right? Like we bring up Chekhov's gun allegories in this show a lot, but my God, did they have the Chekhov's wall of medieval contraptions in this movie?
Oh my God.
There are axes, there are maces, there are swords, there are shackles, there are handcuffs. Like pick a Chekhov's thing. It's all in here.
And then the wife, Caine, suggests that he produced the play. A fantastic idea, which,
Yep.
I mean, in another scenario, it would have been the right way to go.
Right.
And the way that he tries to like gaslight her, yeah, gaslight her. Like,
yeah.
It must have been fun for you to be married to that Sidney Brule. Like where he's talking about himself, like where she's like, "You're still the Sidney Brule who wrote Murder Men," or whatever it was. And
Murdergate.
That doesn't seem right either.
No, you're right. Now I say that, I was so positive that that's what it was, that when I said it like that, but now that I've said it out loud, it doesn't sound right.
Whatever it was, she's like, you are still that man. You were that man. You are still that man. And then his response is like, God, I never realized how much you enjoyed that as well. Like
Right, yeah.
she didn't say anything. She's doing nothing but being encouraging, and he's doing everything he can to stress her out and gaslight her. And like I said, he's trying to give her a heart attack before the plans get set into motion.
Right, yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, but that's the thing is like from this angle, first time around, he just looks like a shitty husband.
Very much. And then this is our first mention that we get of, oh crap, I didn't put her name down.
Oh, the psychic neighbor. Yes.
Yeah, the
Helga? Is it Helga?
psychic, it's Helga Dorp? Von Dorp? Ten Dorp.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's Helga Ten Dorp.
Right. Helga
That-
Tendorf, yes.
I said Dorp and I was like, oh God, that can't be it. And it was right.
Yeah, so she's moved in next door because apparently she's written a book of her exploits as a psychic finding murderers. She's a professional like a TV psychic, finds murderers, helps the police out in France and Belgium and stuff like that. And she's written a book about it, and she has the same publisher as he does, so her publisher set her up in the house next door. So that's how we get the fact that in the midst of all of this craziness that's happening, there's a literal psychic next door neighbor.
A psychic who works with police.
Yeah.
And Canon, like, her character just keeps laughing at everything. She's trying to laugh everything off.
Right.
And Caine just keeps trying to remember him. But, oh, we already said that. And her response, like, when he's like, no, I'm really going to kill this guy. She's like, huh, you really did have a bad night. And $3 to $5 million. If that's not the thinking man's motive for murder, I don't know what is.
Yeah. And he
I don't think you need to
her
put thinking man's motive like in there. I think 3 to 5 million probably would have covered pretty much anybody in the 70s.
But yeah, back then, yeah, that would come to what, like 50 million nowadays almost.
Jesus, I don't want to.
But yeah, like she's trying really hard to laugh off that he's joking about killing a guy for his play. He's driving home. No, I'm serious.
Yeah,
serious.
the look in his eye really sells it too.
Yeah, and he's like, I think that this is, yeah, and that just kind of like, and the funny part is, this is what's interesting, is because the part where she's still trying really hard to think the best of him, even despite the fact he's been such a prick to her for like a full 24 hours. She's still trying to think the best of him and still trying to laugh off. So he calls the phone number on the script, and we only hear his side of the conversation as she does. And we hear him lie to this guy and invite him over and basically say, like, oh, your script's fine, could use some work.
Oh, that's the thing. The look in her eye as she is
Right.
watching him lie with ease, like you can see the terror growing in her.
Exactly. The whole time that he's on the phone and lying with ease, inviting the guy over, kind of being a little smarmy and sly about it, even glancing in her direction every once in a while, going, see what I'm doing? I'm gonna do it. You can see me invite this man over to get murdered in our home.
But I also really like the fact that he's like, oh, I'm writing a play right now. What's it called? Oh, The Frowning Wife.
The Frowning Wife. That was it's a working title. It's a working
Yeah, that was a great moment in there.
Yeah. But yeah, you can see that growing look of terror on her face as she's coming to realize, no, he has not been joking this whole time. And yeah, and the turn here where the tone changes. Oh my God. Let's move on to the next.
You got it. She talks about what errands, and he just starts gaslighting her about the library books. Talking about opening night and the author's mother running down the aisle in protest with the police saying, like, it's my son, and he's just laughing about it, and she joins him in the laugh.
Right, yeah.
Ooh, that was some painful stuff right there. Then Michael Caine goes to pick up a weak kid and winds up picking up Superman instead.
I know. I noticed there were moments in that too where it seemed like Reeves was hunching a little bit because he didn't want to tower over the two of them too much. Because if he actually stood up straight, he would have been a head taller than both of them in that scene. So
Well, I don't
you
know
could
about
see
Michael
him,
Caine, but definitely her.
definitely her, yeah. But no, it seemed like he was hunched over a little bit like this, and even then
Yeah,
he was still
he was
taller than
acting meek for
yeah,
sure.
but he was still taller than Michael Caine the whole time he was doing that. So
I yeah, I he was a big man.
he really was.
Reeves fanboying as Cannon wears hesitation and fear. Funny. Talking about being in the early stages of writer's disease and grabbing the original and so excited to be sitting with his writer hero. Cheers to death and Cannon's cheers to Deathtrap, and then at the end of it,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be quiet.
Yeah.
Like, oh
Yeah.
man, I was feeling for her, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, ice finds out there's no other carbon copy, and then a very jarring cut to let me think for a moment.
Right. Yeah. Like there is like I don't know how to piece this scene together because like it's not that nothing makes sense. It's just that it flows so quickly from one place to the next, and you're not sure that you can keep up, and that's part of your anxiety as an audience member. Your anxiety is going up because you're having a hard time keeping up with what's going on because things
So,
keep changing, but they all do change naturally.
so specifically, Sidney Lumet's directing style is that high anxiety scene. So a lot of the reviews on this one that yes, people did praise the movie. A lot of people hated the movie because there was the gay aspect to it. But a big critique on this one was the director's frantic directing style did not
Mm.
match the subtlety and the uh I'm struggling to remember the review exactly, but it was the frantic directing style of Sidney Lumet uh, did not pair with the subtle brilliance of the dialogue from the playwright.
I'd have to disagree with that from what I saw. I thought it went together really well myself.
I would have to see the play. Like
Mm.
I would actually
Oh,
have to see like because I there's no way that I can even stand that. That is just like that was said enough times that the director definitely made decisions,
mm.
and it all had to do with the frantic and high anxiety of the of
Okay.
those moments.
So you're thinking maybe the original stage play might have been more subtle and that or something like that.
I'm thinking the screaming may not have been as violent and all that. I think there may have been a lot more subdued performances that actually revolved more around the dialogue instead of the imposing forces.
Okay, I see what you're saying. And okay, yeah, that I guess it would be interesting to actually see the stage play, yeah, for sure.
If I ever get a chance to, I'm definitely going to.
Mm.
Like this is not one I'm like I've had the same opinion about Death and the Maiden for a long time. If it ever comes across, I'm going to see it. I just it's been on my mind for a long time and it's never come across.
Right. Okay.
So, I'm hoping for one day. Uh she steps up to not plead or to plead not to kill him, make money instead of murder, and put
Mm.
aside the drowning wife. Like that. I thought it was frowning. Frowning. No, it's a dumb title.
Right.
And the way she goes, and that whole point of that man murdered that man. Like,
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
letting it
No,
linger for a moment.
she is trying so hard to tell her husband, "You don't have to kill him," without actually saying that in front of him so that he doesn't freak out.
But I mean, before I even knew though, like, it seemed like he was catching on, but I like that Reeve was healthily confident about his work and he tries to leave. And
Mhm.
then,
Yeah.
Michael Caine, like, ripping into Cannon, like, don't beg, we don't. Like, he's gonna think we're a couple of Long John Silvers, which I don't know what that means. I just ate there a couple times. So,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know,
I don't know what that meant either, yeah.
times have changed. Uh, he decides to stick it out, or Reeve decides to stick it out, and Caine sets up Houdini's handcuffs, and Cannon continues pleading.
Oh,
Reeve
that's
falls
that
for it.
scene
Yeah.
that scene with the handcuffs, man. Oh
That
god.
turn, press, and pull, and Caine
Yeah.
acts like he can't find the key. the camera deciding to go in on Reeves' hand shaking out of fear, and just in particular, Reeves' performance during this scene.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely outstanding.
Oh, yes.
So,
100%.
yes, Reeves did take this role, and he wanted it. The reason he wanted it is because he'd been doing Superman, and he wanted, with the popularity that he had gained from Superman, he wanted to show people that he was a serious actor as well that could actually do the heavy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Reeve did petition to have the homosexuality aspect of the film toned down as much as it got. Even so, that like the amount of damage that they said to the market that kiss or the gay aspect of the film cost about $10 million in 1970s money.
And that's I'm wondering how one figures a metric like that. That is weird. But
Good get.
I
It's a good
mean,
question.
I mean, I would have to guess maybe there was probably some theaters that refused to play it because of it. If if we're talking the 70s and how it went there, like
There
maybe
is
that was
that.
what maybe that was how they calculated it out. But
Maybe
yeah,
like
it's
your average Michael Caine release, your average Christopher Reeve release, kind of maybe going
maybe
off of like metrics like that. And when you put the
yeah,
two of them together, you kind of expect a box office smash. You don't expect a flop.
right. That's probably true. Yeah. But yeah, it's a little I don't know. I mean, that's kind of strange. It's one of those things where I mean, it's like, when we talked about with the Golden Compass, like, they took out a lot of that, critique of, the church specifically, and it's like, but that's like one of the reasons why people are into it. That's what makes it work. If you take that out, what's going on here? What is the point of any of
And
this?
I
You know,
think
and
that's one of
so
the reasons that we don't like have this as a national conversation every once in a while is because they played it safe. They didn't
mhm.
honor the original work. The original work, like it got picked up, it was carried, it was famous, it was running in Broadway for a reason.
Right, yeah, exactly.
They changed it, and the people who loved the original, they didn't honor the original, so the people who loved the original didn't like it as much.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
didn't change it enough, so the people that they were changing it for would be satisfied. So it didn't work for
Right.
them either.
Okay.
This is that problem that we keep actually running into in modern culture where we talk about changing characters,
Right.
uh, gender, race, XYZ, like what have you. If you do it well, we don't care.
Right.
But if you just change it for literally no reason, it's like, why did you do this? Who are you satisfying? You took a character that was badass, you changed it to appease somebody, and then you made the character really boring so they don't even become legendary to that culture.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
why did you do this?
Yeah.
Like, you can clearly see for decades it has not worked.
Yeah.
Why they have not keyed in on that is very hard to understand.
Really good question. Really good question. Which, yeah, is just kind of raising my curiosity of the stage play. Yeah.
Right. That's why, like, this is another one of those that's going to wind up on the bookshelf. When I'm going to have time to get to it, because Bone Collector is there. That was the first one. uh, brings up a fictitious phone call and story, and holy shit, Reeves
Right.
sells
Yeah.
his fear
When
so
he,
well.
yeah, seemingly out of the blue, decides to say, "By the way, someone knows I'm here." Like, like you can't just disappear me. Like he's there with the handcuffs. We see his hands shaking, and Michael Caine's looking for the key in quotes. And that's when Reeves goes. So maybe now's a good time to mention I could be expecting a phone call any minute now. There, because I was supposed to meet a lady tonight, and I canceled for this, and I left her a note,
Well,
and
here's the thing, like
he
he's doing all
spins
the
this
right
tale.
stuff because he
Hmm.
is also a thriller writer and he has thought
Hmm.
of all these scenarios and everything like that. So he knows how to be on the victim side, he knows how to be on the killer side. He's seeing everything. But
Yeah.
again, that's in the first watch. That's the thing. This one is amazing. Cannon says my heart won't take it. At the same time, my heart is feeling beyond heavy. Like, we don't know about her heart condition, yet she is continuously telling us about her heart condition.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Like, that is one of, like, that was, hmm. finds the key and pockets it, and Reeve just keeps reaching for it. Like that whole dynamic, the anxiety that came out of that scene was palpable.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
so good. That tension was amazing. I was not ready for the scene to like. Oh, I was putting this note. I was right in the middle of writing a note. I was not ready for the scene to go. Oh, not the right key. I was like writing as like I was like writing my thought. The choke attack with that morbid success, dude. That chain, that attack, everything about that was amazing.
Yeah.
Practical
No, that.
effects for the win.
Yep. So
Go
yeah,
ahead,
and
dude.
like mid conversation, Caine finally does it. He fucking kills Christopher Reeve's character right in front of his wife, strangles him with some shackle chains, and then immediately, like as soon as he's dead, immediately starts yelling at his wife, like, "Help me with the fucking body!" Basically, like,
Oh, well, a line that I absolutely loved, which
mhm.
again, on first and second viewing, when they land on that carpet.
Oh
So the first one
yeah,
is like, 1 point for lucky landing, or whatever he said at that moment. But when you really think about that, after watching it the second time, they
hmm
rehearsed that so well that he landed there so he wouldn't have to be drug onto the carpet and maybe found out that he's alive.
right, yeah. Like
Detail.
that's the crazy thing we find out later on is that they were literally like rehearsing this for who knows how long before they finally pulled it off. Yeah.
Well, we find out that I guess something about this since second week of rehearsal, like he's known that it wasn't gonna go and it wasn't gonna work.
Right.
They've been like practicing in that motel room, and then Caine cleans up like nothing just happened. Starts burning evidence and saying, "All your friends are gonna see you living off my money." Like first watch, I am just thinking like, dude, this guy's ego, it's gone too
hmm
far, buddy.
Yep.
And what you were saying, Caine continuously screaming at Cannon to help. I mean, dude is evil in this.
Yep.
And he's like, just how jovial he is. We're out one rug. Dude. Cannon just trying to understand how he could do it and ever feel like a winner again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And she says she like her and this is another thing that I love when we get uh stage adaptations into movies is the killer monologues. The we don't
Oh,
we don't
yes.
get enough killer monologues anymore, but her monologue here where she's sitting there going like, "This was nuts. You like I do not understand how you can enjoy the wealth that's going to come from this knowing that you're a fraud. You're not the man that I married and respected, and I've decided I want a divorce. We'll we'll have, we don't it doesn't have to be over this. We can have fights with each other in public
Oh,
at
yeah. She
friend's
comes up
house."
with a
Yeah,
full plan. She's like, we'll
right.
wait a month if neither of us have been arrested. Like, she's sitting there, starts coming up with
Yeah,
a plan. Like, that is the moment you start seeing where his partner came in,
right.
where they
Yeah,
were
because
together in the first place, because their brains do work in a similar way when they're on the same wavelength. It looks
yep.
like.
Yeah, and at the same time, we're also seeing, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, have they done something like this before? Because she's very confidently going, like, "We'll have arguments in front of our friends. You can write them if you want to." And like it's literally like we find out later on, it's literally what just happened. He scripted a fight with a student in front of her. Like that's like so she knows that this is a thing that he can do, you know. And but yeah, but we're seeing her be like very stand up about this, like going like, "I don't want your money. I don't want your fame anymore. I don't want anything to do with you. You're not the man that I respected when we married. We'll have a public breakup and go our separate ways, and that's it."
And he's kind of, or he acts like he's guilt ridden about being insane enough to do it. And they hear
Mhm.
that doorbell. But this might be my favorite line in this movie. Behind all this Sidney Brule dialogue
Mhm.
is I'm peeing Sidney Brule's pants. That's a line. That's a
Yeah.
line. And the fact, I mean, just Michael Caine.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it so much. Helga Tendorp, played by Irene Worth, shows up in a running outfit and she tracks the pain. There's pain in this house. Oh, no,
Right.
not in the kitchen. And
It's bad enough that she's a nosy neighbor. She's a psychic nosy neighbor. God damn it.
oh yeah, and she shakes his hand and feels something and then checks in on Cannon and all this. Now, here's my question. No, because we're going to like approach it full spoiler version.
Right. Yeah. We
She
gave our warning
is-
at the beginning.
Yes, she is a real psychic. We find this
Yep.
out. Do you think she let the wife die so she could make a play?
I don't know. It seems like because
She
when we see
touches her hand and it's like it washes over her and she sees it and she starts making the decisions.
or something like
Mhm.
like I don't know if she knows exactly what's up, because remember, even when we see her again in the next scene that she shows up, she's only just starting to realize what she saw, because now she's seeing the clues of like, oh, this is just like what I saw, like that's where that's happening. So
But just like Michael Caine was setting up his wife, was Helga setting up Michael Caine?
that's a good question. I don't know,
Because
that
if
is a
she,
very
like,
good question.
how good of a psychic she was, because she's the one who wins this movie.
No, that's true. Yes, that's true. That
So
is a good
if she
question.
walked in there and saw, like, if she had the psychic vision before she even went there, when did she start planning this? And is she the ultimate bad guy? I
She
love
knew, if she
I
knew,
love stories
okay.
like this. This is where independent films try to do, and way too many of them fail.
Yeah,
That open ending bullshit. No, this is
Yeah.
not open ended at all. You have questions about what happened along the way.
right. Yes. Yeah. No, that's a good
Mm.
point. Yeah.
That's like, I'm gonna keep watching this one, man. It's so good.
No, yeah. I'm right there
Uh,
with you.
She says the play knife will be used to do real harm, and the way that Caine snaps his head back to Cannon, like, bitch, you're gonna stab me?
Right, yeah.
That was like, I don't know if that was played for humor, but my God, it got a huge laugh out of me.
Yeah.
Says this room is a death trap, and then he's like, oh, the play I'm working on. And all of this plays it off in a really believable way, retells the story of what just happened, and then she foretells what's to come.
Yeah.
And ooh, I liked it. The only thing though, what was the deal with the knife? Because that never came true. The dagger.
No, it did.
When?
She said a lady's going to use it. She was the lady
When did she use it?
at the very, very, very end.
She didn't. She had it
Didn't
in
she?
her. She had it in her hand, and she was backing away, and then, and then Reeve killed Caine, and then Reeve died from his injuries.
Huh. Well then,
At least that's
okay.
what the play. At least that's what the play said happened.
Right. Okay. Okay. So maybe
No,
she's
so
not
that's
that
why.
good of a psychic.
Well, no. See, here's my point. By saying that, it upped a little bit of the danger, prompting
Right.
the
Yeah.
situation to continue.
Oh, okay. So you think that's where you're thinking she let things play out by saying something that would get him moving
Yes.
in the direct. Okay. Okay. You might be onto something there. Yeah.
By having him think that he's in danger of her, that guarantees the plan is going to move forward.
Right. Okay.
I like shit like this. This is the good stuff. Caine thinks it's a fantastic gift and won't let Cannon out. Like, this is the one. Every moment up until here, he's trying to get Cannon as far away from him as possible. At this moment, he will not, like, he moves and realizes that she's not with him. So he goes back and grabs her and takes her with him.
Right.
Like, dynamics have shifted at this point. Now he doesn't want her to have access to that knife without him knowing. That scream when he opens the door to nothing. Oh, good God, I jumped a couple things there.
Yeah, you jumped a couple minutes there. Yeah.
Yeah. The psychic leaves and Cannon wants a drink for bed. Caine wants the whole bottle.
Right.
But it was already at this moment he tried to get her to open the window. Reeve was already outside the window and he tried to get her to open it at this point, but she wants a drink, so they have to go downstairs first.
Right.
So, Caine goes with, and this is that moment I was talking about earlier where he's like, no, you're going to open. She's like, I saw there's somebody out there. He's like, no, there's nobody out there. You're going to satisfy me. You're going to satisfy yourself. And like he pushes her to the door, forces it open, and she screams. Again, he's just trying to get her to have that heart attack.
Yeah.
Like he is pulling every trigger he possibly can. But then, yeah, she gets that big gulp of brandy. She was funny.
Yeah.
I have to give her that.
What was the actress's name again?
Dyan Cannon.
Dyan Cannon. Yeah, like she's sitting here like.
Okay, well, to be clear about something, her name is spelled Dyan.
Right. Yes.
So is it Dyan? Yeah, Dyan? I don't know.
I went with Dyan when I read it too. So,
okay, fair enough.
I also could be wrong, but that's also what I saw. Right. But yeah, like she's basically in this like 3-man performance with Christopher Reeves and Michael Caine, and she is not just holding her own; she's carrying just as much of this performance as they are. Like, why have I not heard of her? Why am I not, when I'm telling people about this movie? Oh yeah, Deathtrap with Christopher Reeve and Michael Caine and Dyan Cannon. Why am I never remembering her name?
My assumption is she is much more of a stage performer.
You know what? You're probably right. She probably came from Broadway and went right back as soon as this movie was over. You're probably right.
I mean, that's my guess because she is a powerhouse.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They head back upstairs, and Caine, do you think it's possible that murder is an aphrodisiac? Because she keeps talking. She's like, there was some awful, terrible part of me that even though I didn't want you to do it, there was a part of me that was really hoping. Like, dude, like you start seeing this like, oh God.
We're seeing this weird kind of thing because it's like he's trying to kind of like play up that, oh no, yeah, I really feel guilty about having done this. Please don't be mad at me, baby. And she's having a part of herself where she's trying really hard to cope with what's happening by kind of going, maybe I was okay with it. I don't know, I don't want to admit it, but there was a part of me like the stages of acceptance are rolling through on these two at different paces, and just as they're starting to wind their day now after a long day of murder, it's finally time for a nightcap to go to bed, and then that's when it's like, it's a little warm in here. Let's get some air in and open the window.
Attack of the Reeve.
The fucking zombie at the window, like. Holy shit. And he comes in full. I mean, the dude's 7 feet tall. Let's face it. And he comes in covered in blood and mud and a giant log in his hand. And he's just like, like it is.
This is a bit intimidating.
Like like I'm surprised there weren't more audience members having a heart attack at that moment.
It was a great jump scare, especially first time. Oh my God.
Really?
It was outstanding. Caine goes down and Cannon's on the run and goes down from, at first I thought it was a poison or something. I'm like, wait, what just happened here? We find out it's a heart attack and it's a different kind of job because Caine and Reeve are lovers in this.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that line from Caine on this one. Farewell, Deathtrap. Would that you were the genuine article.
Yep, and tosses it right in the fire. Yep.
Loved that line. Caine, that one shot of Caine getting into the mood to call the ambulance, clear-eyed, perfect, just kissed his new boyfriend, or I don't know how long they've been together, goes down and sits in the chair, and in a one shot, he goes from saying goodnight to his lover to sitting down, getting tears in his eyes, and making the phone call to 911.
Yeah.
Michael frickin' Caine.
I know, right? Yeah.
Good God, man. Just too good. And I mean, the funeral was quite possibly the fastest funeral I've ever seen in cinema.
Right. Yeah. Nope. Yeah. Well, because that's that's an added scene for a movie. It definitely wasn't in the play. So it's like we're now cutting to, that's the end of Act One. Now we have our intermission, which happens to be a 2-second long funeral, and now we're starting Act Two. It's which is now like 2 months later, and Christopher Reeve.
I thought it was like 2 weeks later.
Was it 2 weeks? Okay, so I
Well,
guess it hasn't been
because
that long.
Von Drop, Tendorp.
Right.
Wow. Tendorp said that she's going to be on this show next week. And then when we cut to Act Two, we find out that she was on that show last week.
Okay. So then, yes, it's been 2 weeks. Yes. So it's been 2 weeks now, and Christopher Reeve has already fully moved in. They've got desks that face each other now, partner desks they call them.
Oh, that is only one desk. It is a partner desk.
That's right.
Which I wanted. I was looking up at the trivia and I never found this, but I wanted to see it. I wanted to see so bad that was the Lois and Clark desk. That's what I wanted it to be, and I never found anything like that. But I'm like, dude, you have Superman.
It looked a little vintage to be the kind of desk you would find at the Daily Planet, I think.
Fine, but still. Like, the fact that you have Christopher Reeve sitting at a partner desk, you just want Lois Lane on the other end.
That's true.
Margot Kidder.
Margot Kidder, exactly, yeah.
But there's 2 typewriters now, and only one is hammering away, and the death stare in Michael Caine's eyes as he's looking at that, like, the pages just writing themselves, huh? And,
all that animosity to the new blood that he was faking in the first half, he now is genuinely feeling right there in the second half.
Yep. And what he says, or what Reeve says, is it's because they're real stories instead of a thriller that requires plotting and outlines and all of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's like, I want to make something relevant. And I like that, like when Michael Caine says, even though you use that word, I'm still going to let you stay here. I like that. I like that a lot. Because you have to know how that, like as a writer and stuff like that, like, well, right. What you're writing right now, how is that relevant? Bitch, shut up.
Right.
It's what I'm writing.
Right, exactly.
Reeve suggests inviting Tendorp, and I like that as like, do you have a death wish? Like, you just love living on the edge, don't you?
Right, yeah.
And then Henry Jones showing up as Porter Milgram and admires the partner desk, and Reeve's white pants really highlight the fact that he's wearing those boots.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of figured that was a costume department decision, like to have it, like everything be so light and then the dark boots.
Probably, yeah. Yep. Really kind of, let it shine.
Well, yeah, because because like Tendorp is like, oh, I see boots. So
right.
like, we have to see boots.
Right. Now we all see the fucking boots. Yeah.
So yeah, Caine has Reeve playing off as his secretary or assistant. And then as he leaves, he looks to the porter and he goes, do you think he's gay? And like, no, I didn't see it. I was like, well, I guess it's none of my business as long as he doesn't put his little fairy wings on and float into my bed. I'm like, dude, he is covering his gay tracks very well.
Oh yeah. Denial is a hell of a drug, man.
Well, yeah, and it wasn't even just that. Like earlier in the movie, before we find anything like that, he starts talking about his neighbor, and she's like, you don't remember? Our neighbor was like doing an impression of Tendorp for like 20 minutes. And he's like, oh, I thought that was just him coming out of the closet.
Right.
Like, no, dude, he is gay bashing all over the place in this movie. And
right, that's right, yes.
Yeah, he's a little rainbow colored himself.
Mm-hmm.
Putting the idea of Reeve stealing stories in Caine's head, keeps staring at the desk. And the way that he was staring at the desk, he paid so much attention to that, it almost seemed like he was in league with Reeve.
A little bit, yes. And my first viewing of it is that I was thinking that that the lawyer is now kind of cluing in. Like there's a part of him that's sitting there going like, this guy moved in right after the funeral and their desks are and they're sharing like he maybe and like that maybe that's why even Michael Caine is like sitting there going like, yeah, so you think that guys might be gay? Yeah, as long as he doesn't touch me, like to kind of like take him off the trail of the lawyer who's kind of technically his dead wife's lawyer, and only his
Oh,
lawyer is a
really?
technicality, huh?
Oh, I
He's
didn't
he's
catch
the
that.
he's the family lawyer is basically what it comes
Ah,
down.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. That makes
So
sense. All
he's
right.
now so he's now Kane's lawyer kind of as a technicality. Um, but yeah, like he like was the lawyer putting it together, like, wait a sec, and then that's where Caine kind of comes in with the whole like misdirects and changing the subject because he sees the lawyer looking at the desk and really kind of harping on and really kind of focusing on that desk and he's like shit, he's thinking, I better get him thinking about something else. And so that was
Oh,
where I
yeah.
was taking it too. Because, and yeah, and then we find out, a couple minutes later at the end of the conversation, that's when the lawyer actually goes, actually, I saw him lock something in there. That's what's weird.
Well, yeah. So he says that he saw him lock something in there, and then he talks about working at the welfare office, and then the lawyer's like, "Oh, well, it's a force of habit then." The fact that the lawyer says, "Well, it's a force of habit," then keeps looking at the desk. That's
Right.
where it's like, okay, that seems a little bit unnatural at this point. You've already
Hmm.
justified it to yourself. You've already explained it, yet you're continuing the suspicion for no reason at all. That was a character decision that I didn't fully understand, but
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I didn't. I
I
guess I
mean,
didn't
but
notice it
the
that
thing that
closely. Yeah.
the thing that I like you kind of skip over a lot of times when you're writing something or creating something. People are people.
Right.
Characters are going to make decisions that you don't totally understand just because they had a different flavored Pop Tart that morning. Like people, like that's the human thing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I may just be throwing a lot of attention to something that just is inconsequential.
That's possible, yeah. But it's kinda hard to do that
Mm.
in a movie as
This
tightly
tight,
put together
yes.
as this tightly put together as this. You kinda have to assume every decision has a reason behind it because there are so many details that come into play later, and you're like,
Ooh,
"How the fuck did
ooh,
I miss that?"
the porter was working with the psychic, and she told him what to pay attention to.
Also possible. That seems like a little further reach to me,
Oh
but I
no,
can see where you're kinda
I'm reaching for like I'm doing yoga on that one, but I'm having fun with it.
Right,
Uh,
yeah. But no,
Caine
but I
panic.
did I did love that reaction. Like, that's the thing is, like, McCain's, like, going like, "Ah, it's nothing, it's nothing, it's nothing. Anyway, goodbye." Close the door. Immediately bolts for that fucking desk. Like, he's there with a crowbar trying to rip that thing open.
Oh yeah, and he
He doesn't
breaks
he
the
doesn't even
knife.
he doesn't even wait for the lawyer to leave the driveway. He is on that desk immediately.
Oh yeah.
That got a laugh out of me. Right? Like that's a serious moment that is also funny.
Oh yeah. Okay, no, I'm with you on that. Because as he's panicking, he grabs a knife and he breaks the knife in there. So he goes and grabs a thicker dagger to help
Hmm.
pry the desk open so he can get the knife out. Goes to his side, pulls his drawer out, and then reaches through that way. Gets what we find out is the manuscript for Deathtrap, literally
For a
going in
real
about all of the real world events that just took place
right.
and not even changing the details, only changing the names.
Right, exactly. So
Like
he finds out that
minimal
this
effort.
script that he's been writing about this whole time that he thought were the life stories of the welfare office people. No, it turns out he's been basically writing a confession of what they just did last week.
Oh, yeah. And Reeve trying to comfort him while Caine flips about all the ways that it could go wrong. Like, and
Hmm.
what will you say when the man from the Times comes and says, "Didn't you work for Sidney Brule around the time his wife had a heart attack?" Christopher
Right,
Reeves
yeah.
replies, "No comment." And like, oh my God, the way that Caine flips on this is like, "I have a
Oh,
comment." No. It's like, like that was a great one. No comment. I have a comment. No.
right.
Goes to burn it, and that
Dude,
coldness. in
What you
Christopher
think you're-
Reeves saying, "Stop right there, fella."
Stop right. That, because that was a Clark Kent line said with such venom. Like, I have never heard such a simple set of words said with so much evil. So yeah, if Christopher Reeves went out to do this movie in the hopes to set himself apart, to show what kind of actor he could be, he did it with that fucking line, because he basically did a Clark Kent line as a monster and things that should not go together, and he put them together in a, it chills your blood listening to it. He like, and yeah, stop right there, fella. Like, and we see it, the reaction from Caine, because Caine stops dead in his fucking tracks when he says it. Oh, what a moment.
The fear that washes over on Michael Caine when he does, like, in that moment is it is pretty heavy. I want, like, when they sit down to have that conversation, he says, "I want a shortcut and I don't give a shit who's through property."
Yep.
That is a line. That is a hell of a line. Reeve has an extraordinarily nihilistic view of the world, and Caine's response, the fear that he has, the level of control that he is trying to exhibit, and everything over the scene when he says, "In all those times in your troubled youth, before you straightened out, as it were, and calmed down, did anybody ever use the term sociopath?" And
very, very gently trying to ask the question, has this ever come up before?
yes, and the thing is, Reeves' response to that, does that word scare you? This exchange,
no, but that
was
response does.
No, this exchange was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, like again, the power of a stage play being brought to the screen is when you get to have these moments, like just the fierce, intense burn of something that doesn't call for a lot of special effects, doesn't call for a lot of fancy camera tricks. It's just two actors and delivering good dialogue as hard as they can at each other.
Yes. This is what we were talking about just the other day with either movies better from the 90s or movies better now. More moments like this.
Yes.
Back when you had to rehearse before going on set.
Right, exactly. Yes. I see what your point is. Yes. Because back then they were working with film. If you had to do a take 5 times, that's $300 worth of film you just pissed through. Yeah, we don't have that
about
problem
this
now.
after we went off the air the other day, but TV is better now than it was back then. Movies were better then than they are now.
Okay, yeah, I'll go with that.
I feel like there's no argument to say that TV got better.
Oh,
there's
no,
just no
absolutely,
argument.
100%. Yeah.
Movies, chasing the almighty buck has really screwed them.
It really has, yeah.
Yeah. Where he goes through a series of questions and explanations, and Reeve responds with, "Are you asking if you can trust me?" And the way that Caine responds, "How plainly you put it." Like that smile he wears while he says that. And basically the explanation of a sociopath boils down to, do I need you? Because if I don't need you, you don't need to exist.
Right, yeah.
Which, whoever wrote Star Wars Rogue One, I'm pretty sure is a sociopath.
Oh, so you finally watched it, huh?
No, but I actually know enough about it. Every single character in that movie, once they serve their one purpose to the story, the writer just killed them.
Right.
Let them go off in an explosion or something like that. That's pretty, I think it was written by a sociopath.
See, and that's what that was kind of one of my points, and I don't want to go out off a tangent all of a sudden here, but that was basically why I wanted you to see it first, because that was the point of the movie. They literally have this whole like discussion in the middle about how they'll like one of the guys is like a failed Jedi or something like that, or a former Jedi or something. He's like he really likes the Jedi and follows their shit, but he's not a Jedi. But he's always going off on how the Force is with us and stuff like that, and basically says like he's sure that they're going to succeed because the Force will guide us there, and basically sets up the fact that as soon as they have succeeded in their part of the mission, the Force stops protecting them and they're done. And so my whole take of with the whole movie was apparently the Force is an absolute bitch. as, as soon as you've served your purpose, fuck you.
by pure logic, the
Yeah.
Force is a sociopath.
Right, exactly.
That's that's a fun one to take to a convention.
Right.
Quotes their story and cheers to Deathtrap and Don't Kid a Kidder. That's from Act 1. Like, but that's the thing. We're back in Act 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only kind of nod to that. But we are about to jump into Act 2. Caine says, let me worry about Act 2. And the way the camera and the shot and the whole scene ends on just him thinking. Power from Michael Caine, man. Just you can't beat it. Reeve is alone and feeling eerie until there's a knock on the window from the psychic, and you can tell she's super uneasy about him right away.
That lady does not do doors, does she? Like this
She
is
really
the second
doesn't.
time. This is the second time she's appeared, and both times she appeared pounding on the window, going, "Let me in."
Well, no. The first time she just walked through the kitchen door. I think she was knocking on a window at some point, and then she just walked around the house until she found a door because she was out running, I think. Is that what that was? Or was the second? I don't know. She predicts the weather, and Reeve asks if she's sure. She's like, yeah, it was on the radio. I appreciate moments like that.
Yeah, no, that was clever. I like that one. Yeah. And she even later on, she even gives credit to it. She's like, yeah, so those weathermen, sometimes they get it right. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
And then like her freak out, she's like, boots? You wear boots?
And he's all, and I love that how his response is, yeah, they're all the rage these days. Like,
it's like, yeah, everybody wears boots. Like that's yeah. And she's being a bit like, here's the thing. She was being a bit too obvious to have survived that night. That's where your suspension of disbelief comes in. She comes in, a sociopath very clearly knows that she like thinks it's him. Right. I don't think she would have survived that night. To me, that's a bit of a plot hole. That's just the story has to happen.
Maybe, yeah. Or maybe it was one of those things where he figured he'd take care of her later or something like that. He didn't think she was an immediate threat. The immediate threat was Michael Caine.
Potentially. I can see that. Yeah. Reeve goes to find candles, and Tendorp says she came to warn about him. Sees the typewriter. It was Corona, not Smith and Colonna. It was Smith and Corona. And like, so that was the thing, like the black suit, that was the black typewriter. The person named Colonna, it was Corona. Like, no, but see, here's where I'm talking about. She drops the hints and stuff like that, but they're vague enough. And then she comes back and then she like highlights them again to pick up the conflict even more.
Right. Okay.
Like she's kind of the catalyst that makes most of this movie happen. I think.
To some degree, yeah. But everyone kind of has their own role in this. Where
there's not an unnecessary character in this movie.
Yeah, like even the wife, like she's kind of like a victim to a lot of this. But there's even a point where she even furthers the plot by trying to take initiative. She like part of her own anxiety is built up with her trying to talk her husband out of doing the thing, or even instead of, or saying like, I want a divorce at the end, or even throwing him really further for a loop by saying, actually, I think I might be okay with what you did, like later on, like Like no one in here is a
Well, I
passive
kept
observer.
seeing that as he kept trying to get her calm so she could be startled again. Because
Oh, okay.
going from an 8 to a 10, not as dangerous as going from a 2 to a 10.
Okay. That's a good point. Yeah.
But again, that's just what I saw.
Yeah.
That's why I love movies like this. Reeve guesses correctly that she pointed out that he's the man in the boots who attacks him. Caine gives a good lie while finishing it off with what he's doing, sticking as close to the truth as he can. The thing is, Reeve is quoting it with him at the same time, thinking that he's in on it. But this is like a lie on a lie on a lie. Like it was
Right.
very. I don't even know how to properly describe this. It was very, very well crafted.
It was Inception.
It was Inception. That is exactly what it was. Correct. Caine wants to act out scene 2 with a sassy Reeve. And he gets that scratch on his neck. He's setting up a believable scene for the police to find.
Right.
Like he's completely setting it up and getting Reeve into position and then grabs a gun. See, here's the thing. Well, now I'll get there. Reeve mocks him as an aging, broken down writer, and Caine responds. Has that gun and click, click.
Yeah.
Points it at his own face. Click.
I know. Like where's the bullets? I know. Okay, I saw that too. I was like, what are you? Whoa.
I can get you looking into the freaking, like, but what are you putting it at your face for, man? Like, don't do that. Like, no, don't do that.
But I did. That was one of those, like, already enough. Like, we get that scene, the click, 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 and he's confused. But then this, I don't know how to describe, like, when we're talking about a movie like this, how do you sit there and say this one scene was so, but somehow this one really did. Like, this really got me, where we've got Reeves sitting there. Like, first he's like, and then he just goes like, you know, like,
he acts along
Right.
with it, even though he knows what he knows.
Right. And then he drops it. And now he's got that look of seriousness on his face. And we see, and the shot is kind of tight. We're a little bit fooled because it's kind of tight, but it's not as tight as usual. It's just wide enough that when he says there are no bullets in that gun, we see the gun he's reaching for off this wall. And he goes, I took them to put in this gun. Like,
yeah, it's about a 2-button shot.
Right.
And the frame is, no, it is.
So it was very masterfully done. In fact, that it was a shot that normally would give away that there's something there. Like, normally we would go, oh, there's a gun here, so he's going to reach for that gun. But you don't actually catch it because they bring it just in tight enough to fool you into thinking this is actually a one shot. It was kind of brilliant because when he does reach for that gun, you are kind of like, oh, what the fuck? There was a gun there. And he says, I took the bullets out of that gun to put them in this gun. And that's like, we are now in our third turnaround in this movie? Like, holy shit.
I couldn't keep track. And that is why we are the twits that Michael Caine was talking about. Like, talking about this and going through all the twists. We literally are those people.
Right.
And that sucks. But at this moment, Caine winds up in shackles because Reeve had it all planned out. And he tells him, he's like, Reeve tells him what he thinks is going to happen. And this whole plan, Reeve's going to walk away. He's going to say he got the idea. He went to go work for Sidney Brule after his wife had a heart attack. And that's how he got the idea for this, which honestly should have been the idea from the very beginning.
Right.
Like, he did not have to freak out. Caine could have been like, this was inspired by the tragedy of my wife, and this is how I dealt with it.
Right, exactly.
Like, that could have been how that went. I actually think that would have been a believable thing, and Reeve was right. There would have been some controversy. Like, yeah. No,
I mean, after Stephen King got hit by that truck, the next 30 books he came out with all had a dude getting hit by a truck in them. Like, this is what writers do, man.
Yeah. I didn't know that, but yeah.
I may have read a little too much Stephen King in my life.
Okay, fair. And then Caine asks, he's like, because, Reeve said he's going to, basically, Caine's character in Deathtrap, the story that Reeve wrote in
Right.
Deathtrap, complicated, is going to kill himself. And Caine goes, Julian shoots himself? Well, that's exceedingly feeble. Ooh.
That's how he says. That's how he convinces him. Don't kill me, and make it look like a suicide. That's a shit ending. Your play is gonna suck if you do that.
Yeah, but this it says, I'm not going to kill you. And then we get that lightning. He's like, electrical effects from God.
Right.
That
How very meta do you imagine that would be on watching it on stage, and you're seeing every time the lightning goes off, the actors are reacting to it like, boy, this would be great on stage, wouldn't it? Like,
dude, right? Yeah, there you go. Caine escapes, and the last thing he says before he runs out, those were Houdini's handcuffs.
I know, right?
So cheeky, so fun. Yeah.
That is the best Chekhov's gun I have ever seen. Like,
it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Sneaks around and then goes back into the house and then catches Reeve with a crossbow. Of all things, we've never had mention of a crossbow at any time. The only time we saw the crossbow is when he was running his finger behind it looking for the key.
Right, exactly. That was our clue in that the crossbow was there, was when he was quote unquote looking for the key. He ran his fingers behind the crossbow to look for it at one point. So that was our first look at it.
That was there was no mention of it. He talked about a mace, he talked about a gun, there was a dagger, like all these things we talked about. Right. Superman got by a crossbow.
Yep, in the back.
In the back. And Reeve goes down, and so do the lights. The psychic sneaks in and confronts him, grabs the gun, and Reeve survived. Why was the psychic there? That's the big thing.
Well, remember, she is a psychic for the cops. She was there to catch him.
For the cops. Why was she there alone? There's a murder. There's two killers, both of them ginormous compared to her. She didn't come in with a gun. She did not come in armed. She broke into this dude's house to confront him. I really think there was she was the secret character pushing things along. Because if she actually wanted to prevent anything, she would have showed up at some point with a cop.
Right.
I don't know how I'm wrong here.
So instead, she used her psychic powers to place herself in a position to make it all happen in a way that would make everybody dead but her, and she gets both the fame of having been the psychic who discovered everything and wrote a hit play about it.
Correct. That is what I think happened.
Okay. All right. I will look for clues to that in my second watching.
But then, yes, the struggle for the gun, and Reeve survived, and he raises that axe high. But we get to the stage play, and the psychic survived, and she wrote the play, Deathtrap by Helga Tendrop. Right. And the way it goes, yes, it is an absolute smash. Yep. And then because we don't see what happened in real life. We see what happened on her stage, and it was Reeve took the dagger and killed Caine.
Yep.
Right?
But then
is that correct?
Yeah. But then immediately afterwards dies of his own injuries that he received before.
No, he took I thought he took the crossbow bolt and then stabbed him again.
No, it looked like that was a knife he took out of him. So I mean, clearly the stage version had something else going on.
Yeah.
Where the character playing Reeves' character, takes the knife out of his own chest and uses it to stab Caine's character, and then they both die at the same time.
But take note, no woman ever harmed or ever got harmed or harmed anybody with a dagger. That whole thing was just to get Caine to pull the trigger on the plan against his wife.
Okay. Okay.
That's where I'm coming from this one. But all right,
Mm.
last thought or final thoughts on Deathtrap.
Final thoughts. I mean, like, holy shit, dude. Like, yeah, this is a movie. This is not just a must-see movie. This is a movie to watch over and over and over again because there is so fucking much in it. And yeah, I explained ahead of time what brought me to this. This literally was just me going, "Hey, wasn't there a movie that mattered that I never actually watched?" And so yeah, like I said, I was only slightly more prepared than you were on this. But yeah,
It was a
fuck,
goodie.
this was a payoff. This was probably one of the better payoffs. And yeah, I'm shocked that there hasn't been any remakes, especially nowadays where there wouldn't be as much danger in keeping the gay content in it.
Good point.
It's shocking that this movie has not held the staying power. Keep hitting the mic again. It's shocking that there hasn't been more staying power in the movie. I haven't really heard of the play being performed much, except when I was in high school. I remember my high school put it on.
Dude, really?
And yeah, okay. I
Were
didn't
you
see
in
it
it?
then.
Oh.
No, that was the thing. I auditioned for it and I didn't get a part, and because I was a teenage petty bitch, I refused to go see it. So that one's on me. I admit my faults. I have grown as a person since then. So, and yeah, and I'm mad at him, and I'm mad at young me for missing out on what would have been a phenomenal show.
Well, I mean, high school students.
True, but we had a pretty good department. I gotta say, we did some pretty good stuff. So
We didn't.
uh,
I say that
uh,
being the star of a lot of those. We were not good.
no, I feel you there. Yeah, but yeah, yeah. I guess that's it. Yeah, this was
right.
amazing. This was amazing. Everyone,
This
should
was
see it.
amazing. It is like I said, both of us. I think both of us are throwing this on the must see list. There's no
100%.
dispute there. If we were still doing the movie fights, it would easily win. It's not as iconic. It's not as viewed. And here's the thing: even though it made the mistakes of trying to play the middle ground, it still wound up being amazing. So that really says a lot about it. So
Yeah.
even though I'm putting the movie really high towards the must-see list, I'm putting the play on the must-see list.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Definitely going to have to start checking around at local theaters, making sure I'm keeping tabs on who's doing what. So if this play pops up, I'm definitely going to go see it.
There you go. All right. Anything else for this week's episode, man?
That's all I got for this week, man.
If you guys watched us tonight, you guys know that on 7 p.m. on Mountain Time, we are live every Thursday. And we have the podcast up on Spotify, Apple, Pandora, pretty much wherever else you get podcast, you can find us. If you were joining us live, thank you. If we're joining you on the podcast, thank you. Fuck, what am I saying? I don't even know what I'm saying here, man. I don't know. I really need to write this down.
Yeah.
I need to come up with something.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to us while driving or falling asleep, you're welcome.
All right. Well, like I said, next Thursday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. From now until then, stay safe and stay sane.
Good night, everybody.